was palpable over the phone. Tang Nianyan couldn't help but smile and said, "The salary better not be low." Even if she was patriotic, she wouldn't work for free. "The starting salary is 120. It's a bit low, but once you achieve results, I'll apply for a raise," Zhang Lao said with a laugh. He knew better than anyone how talented Nian was. Her calculation skills were exceptional. Otherwise, he wouldn't have insisted on having her, a high school student, join the secret project team, despite everyone else opposing it. Zhang Lao also knew many were waiting to see Nian fail, but soon they would be humbled by her abilities. "I'll leave tomorrow," Tang Nian agreed. A salary of 120 was not high for her, but it was quite good for this era. Many officials didn't earn that much. Zhang Lao must have fought hard to get her that salary. This investment was worth it. She was already seeing returns. Zhang Lao was busy. During their call, several people had called for him. After getting Tang Nian's answer, he felt relieved. "I'll send someone to the train station to pick you up tomorrow. Don't worry about the ticket. Just get on the train." "Okay, you go ahead and work." Tang Nian didn't chat much longer. After hanging up, she called Xin Xiao to inform him. But Xin Xiao was away on a mission and hadn't had much time off lately, saving it for their wedding to spend more time with Tang Nian. So, she called Ming Jinxing. "Uncle Ming, I have something urgent and can't be reached for a while. Please let Xin Xiao know." "What's going on? Aren't you getting married next month?" "That kid's wedding report has been approved," Ming Jinxing asked. "State secret, can't say." "All right, I'll tell him later." Once Ming Jinxing heard it was a state secret, he stopped asking. He would find out later. After hanging up, Tang Nian walked home slowly. She had some free time, and helping Zhang Lao was a good way to pass it. The college entrance exam documents would be released in October, with the exam in December. She had already reviewed her materials, and having seen past exam questions in her previous life, she felt confident about getting into Fudan. She didn't want to go to Tsinghua or Peking University. She couldn't get used to the food in the capital. She was from the south, and while she could handle northern food occasionally, she couldn't eat it every day. Plus, she wasn't suited to the dry northern climate. It was better to stay in the south. "Nian girl, try this golden rice ball." An older woman called out to her, holding a bowl of sesame rice balls, sticky and delicious. Golden rice balls were a snack for the Ghost Festival, but now that the villagers were better off, they made them for the children even when it wasn't the festival. Tang Nian took one without hesitation, and the woman smiled as she watched her eat, asking, "Want more?" "I'm good." After finishing the rice balls, Tang Nian returned the bowl to the woman, feeling sweet inside. She needed to hurry home for some water. "Take some home with you." The woman was very enthusiastic and filled another bowl to give to Tang Nian, not taking no for an answer, as if refusing would be disrespectful. Tang Nian had to accept it, thinking to herself that this woman used to be stingy, barely using oil in her cooking. Now she was being so generous, it was a bit surprising. "Nian girl, take some zongzi home too." Just a few steps later, she was called again and was handed 6 or 7 cooked zongzi tied together with string, with the same insistence that refusing would be disrespectful. Tang Nian had no choice but to accept. "Nian girl, these are freshly fried wheat flours. Take some home." "Nian girl, this year's salted duck eggs are especially good, all red oil. Take some home for porridge." In just a few minutes, Tang Nian had taken half an hour to walk home, her hands full of food from the generous villagers. This year, the villagers of Tang Village were particularly generous, and everyone had made delicious food. "Nian." Yulome had been waiting at the door for a long time. When she saw Tang Nian, her eyes lit up, and she ran over. "What's up?" Tang Nian set her things down, her arms tired, and handed Yulome a string of zongzi. The siblings had split up to live separately, and Yulome looked much better than before, with a fuller face. She was wearing clothes without patches and had grown taller. "I made zongzi. We have enough at home." Yulame declined, having already received too much help. Now that she and her brother could support themselves, she didn't want to accept any more favors. Others meant well, But if she and her brother got used to accepting help, they might lose their drive and ambition over time. Tang Nian Nian took back the zongzi, not wanting to force her. Nian Nian, I made these shoes for you. Here. Yu Lame handed her a pair of embroidered cloth shoes, blue with red plum blossoms. Very pretty. They're nice, thank you. Tang Nian Nian really liked the shoes Yu Lame made. This girl always made her a pair of embroidered shoes for the holidays, and they fit well and looked great. I'm glad you like it, Sister Nian Nian. I'm going home now. Yu Lame felt happy. She couldn't repay Sister Nian Nian yet, so she planned to make her a pair of shoes. Although it was a small gift, it was from the heart. Without Sister Nian Nian, she would still be struggling in a difficult situation, and her brother would still be suffering under their stepmother. They wouldn't have such a good life now. Make sure to read more and do more exercises. Tang Nian Nian reminded her briefly. She didn't say much more because in her past life, Yu Lame had already been accepted into Fudan University. She would be fine without extra encouragement. Yu Lame felt a chill inside. Sister Nian Nian wouldn't say these things for no reason. Was there a new policy? Sister Nian Nian often went to the city, knew many people, and had access to more information. There must be a new policy. I read every day, and Lu Jin even brought me materials and exercises. Yu Lame looked gentle and delicate, but her tone was very firm. She never missed a day of studying, no matter how busy she was. She always made time to learn. She completed all the exercises Lu Jin brought her with a high accuracy rate, which gave her confidence. No matter what new policy came, she was sure she could handle it, because she was always prepared. Tang Nian Nian admired Yu Lame's determination. Strong people never complain about their circumstances. This girl had great resilience and talent. Without the burden of her original family, she should be able to reach even greater heights. Thank you for the shoes. Now go home. Tang Nian Nian waved her hand, having nothing more to say. Yu Lame smiled and turned to leave, silently deciding to add an hour to her study time every day and encourage her brother to study as well. Only by studying could she leave Tang village and escape the home she despised. Tang Nian Nian watched Yu Lame's lively and determined figure, feeling inexplicably happy. Tang village was thriving now. Everyone had jobs, families had enough food, and they could often eat meat. Their living conditions were among the best in the region. She had arranged everything in the sock factory, craft factory, and machine tool factory. Even if she wasn't there, the factories would still run smoothly. With the dividends from Zhou Guiqing and Baga, she was now earning tens of thousands every month, and she couldn't spend it all. The crops in her space were abundant, and she had countless treasures. Life was wonderful. Second sister, I brought you some agongong. Tang Jiujin, who had grown quite a bit, rushed over like a little pony, holding several strings of agongong. Behind him was his little follower, Tian Tian, who had transformed from a shy girl into a bold wild child, influenced by Tang Jiujin. Wow, so much food. Seeing the pile of food on the ground, Tang Jiujin's eyes lit up, and his mouth began to water. He picked up a bowl of sesame rice balls, shared one with Tian Tian, and while chewing, his eyes darted toward the rice dumplings and wheat flours. Bring everything inside. Tang Nian Nian took the agongong, pinched the cheeks of the two little girls, and confidently instructed them to work while she went back to her room to sleep. Xian Jinju and Su Jinfeng were at home, nearing their due dates with round bellies that looked a bit scary. Every time Tang Nian Nian saw them, she worried about the babies inside. Both pregnant women had stopped working at the factory and were on maternity leave, as Tang Nian Nian had mandated that all pregnant women in the factory could take leave and receive living expenses. She was determined to eliminate workplace discrimination against women. Mom, second aunt, we have delicious food.
Tang Jiujin shouted loudly.
Su Jinfeng and Xian Jinju were sitting side by side, knitting small sweaters for the babies. Who gave you all this food? Xian Jinju asked with a smile. The villagers are so warm-hearted. Tang Nian Nian casually replied, biting into a string of agongong. The sweet juice burst in her mouth, and it was delightful. I want a rice ball. I'm suddenly craving it. Su Jinfeng's mouth watered unexpectedly. Tang Jiujin held the bowl, serving her the rice ball. It smells so good. Su Jinfeng enjoyed it more and more, and before she knew it, she had finished the rice ball. Still not satisfied, she craved a rice dumpling and peeled one to eat. They're so generous with the meat. Who used to put this much meat in their dumplings? Su Jinfeng couldn't help but marvel. She had never imagined living like this. In the past, she was satisfied just to eat meat during the new year, but now they could have meat at every meal. Even the landlord's family didn't have such good food before. Now everyone in the village has a salary. Even the 80-year-old lady can wrap socks for money. The Monfu family has 6 people working and earns about 130 to 140 a month. They can't even spend it all. Xian Jinju exclaimed. When she first heard Nian Nian say Shen Xiao earned 130 a month, she was envious and thought that money would be hard to spend. Yet, in less than a year, the villagers were earning such high salaries too. Now, her relatives at home envied her for marrying well. Monfu said he wants to buy a TV this year. Tang Baishan's family wants to buy one too. This rice dumpling is so good. I want another one. Su Jinfeng finished one meat dumpling, but still felt hungry and reached for another. Just as she was about to eat it, she suddenly exclaimed, feeling a slight pain in her belly. She didn't pay much attention and continued to eat, but then she exclaimed again, this time louder, startling Xian Jinju. Oh no, I'm going into labor. Su Jinfeng pressed her belly, sweating as the contractions began. She hadn't even finished her dumpling. Xian Jinju was startled and sent Jiujin to call for help. The little girl ran quickly to the wheat straw fan factory. Grandma Tang was busy and chatting with others when she suddenly heard her granddaughter shout, "Grandma, my mom's going into labor." Grandma Tang rushed home, calmly directing people to lift Su Jinfeng onto a tractor, with thick cotton blankets underneath to cushion the ride. Don't take the dumpling. Grandma Tang tried to grab the dumpling from Su Jinfeng's hand. Mom, I want to eat the dumpling. I have to eat it. Su Jinfeng stubbornly held onto the dumpling, determined to eat it before anything else. Grandma Tang let her be. They weren't short on dumplings at home. Su Jinfeng's labor went surprisingly smoothly. As soon as they reached the health center, the baby couldn't wait to come out. It was an 8.5-pound boy, crying loudly, just like Jiujin did back then. Even after giving birth, Su Jinfeng still held onto the dumpling. The doctor joked that the chubby boy was tempted out by the meat dumpling. Thus, the newly born chubby boy was named Meat Dumpling, with his full name being Tang Guqiang. Originally, Grandma Tang wanted to name her grandson Tang Bajin, as he weighed 8.5 pounds at birth, which seemed fitting. However, Tang Manjin had other ideas. He wanted to give his son a more impressive and beautiful name. In the past, he didn't have much experience and let his parents name his daughter, calling her names like Wujin, Lujin, and Jujin, which sounded nice. But there were too many children with those names. Jujin was okay since it was rare to have a baby born weighing 9 pounds these days, but there were several Lijins in his daughter's class. Every time the teacher called the roll, a bunch of them would stand up. Tang Manjin initially wanted to change his daughter's name, but Tang Lujin refused, insisting that her name was given by her grandfather and she wouldn't change it. Now that his son was born, Tang Manjin wanted to choose a grand name himself. He decided on the nickname Rozong and the formal name Tang Guqiang, believing that they would never have to worry about food and drink. When Tang Nian Nian heard this name, it sounded familiar. Wasn't there an old actor with that name? The Tang family was very happy to welcome a new grandson. Grandma Tang planned to celebrate with a feast for both children once Xian Jinju gave birth. Tang Nian Nian couldn't wait for Xian Jinju's delivery, but she knew that her second aunt was having a boy. In her past life, her second aunt had lost her baby due to shock and sadness, and she herself had bled heavily and passed away. In this life, both children would be healthy and grow up safely. Tang Nian Nian told her family goodbye and left early the next morning. Grandma Tang prepared a large bag of food for her to take to Old Zhang. Grandma didn't know what a secret project was, but when Tang Nian Nian told her that the job paid 1,200 yuan, Grandma thought it was a good job and wanted to thank Old Zhang properly. Once you start at the new place, speak less and work more. Don't argue with anyone and definitely don't fight, so old Zhang won't be put in a difficult position. Grandma Tang repeatedly reminded her. She wasn't worried about her granddaughter being bullied. She was more concerned about others. This girl could be heavy-handed, and while she could manage in Tang Village, the new place was unfamiliar, and Grandma was afraid something might happen. I know, I will win people over with kindness. Tang Nian was tired of hearing the same thing and casually agreed, knowing she wouldn't initiate any conflict. Finish this bowl of noodles. Don't be too cautious. Don't let anyone bully you. They invited you to work, not to be mistreated. We can't let others push us around. Nana, should I fight back then? Tang Nian teased, confused by her grandmother's mixed messages, sometimes telling her to hold back, other times insisting she shouldn't be bullied. What was she supposed to do? Fight? Just eat your food. Grandma Tang shot her a glare and urged her to finish breakfast. Tang Jianshu was waiting at the village entrance with a truck from the factory to transport goods. Call me when you arrive. Grandma Tang watched as the truck drove away, her eyes a bit moist. She knew her granddaughter would spend less time at home, and after getting married to Xiaoshen, she would belong to another family.
Sigh.
That annoying girl was noisy at home, but now that she was gone, she couldn't help but worry. So frustrating. Tang Nian arrived at the bus station, got her ticket, and boarded the bus. The base wasn't in Huqing but in a small county in Zhejiang province, surrounded by mountains and with steep terrain. The base was deep in the mountains, an hour's drive from the county, and the road conditions were poor. The bumpy ride made Tang Nian's backside numb, and she quickly jumped off the bus. It was still noon, with the sun high in the sky, but it was cool in the mountains, with a gentle breeze and beautiful scenery, though it was quite remote. There were armed guards at the base entrance. After registering her information, Tang Nian entered the base, unaware that all details about the Tang family had been thoroughly checked, including the incident at the trade fair where they recognized Tang Jinglin's family. Comrade Tang, please follow me. Engineer Zhang is waiting for you. The person who greeted her was very polite and led her to find old Zhang. As Tang Nian looked around, she noted the layout of the base. It seemed to be a temporary setup, quite basic and backed by a mountain, making it easy to defend but hard to attack. She also vaguely saw troops stationed on the mountain. Old Zhang's secret project was more significant than she had thought. Tang Nian was taken to a shared office with about a dozen desks. Old Zhang was there, looking thinner than when she last saw him in Tang Village. Nian girl. Old Zhang walked over and hugged Tang Nian. Come, let me introduce you. Old Zhang introduced her to the people in the office. The scientists politely nodded but didn't speak to her. Tang Nian sensed their distance and disdain. She wasn't surprised. She felt like an outsider, a connection brought in from outside, so being excluded was normal. Nian girl, these two are my assistants Xia Wenlin and Ni Junlan. Old Zhang introduced his two young assistants, a man and a woman. The man wore glasses, looked refined, and smiled as he extended his hand, saying, Welcome, Comrade Tang. Tang Nian shook his hand and turned to Ni Junlan, politely trying to shake hands with her too. Ni Junlan looked down on her, lifting her chin slightly, wanting to show Tang Nian that she was just a connection who got in through the back door and wasn't worth her time. Old Zhang's expression darkened slightly. He was increasingly displeased with Ni Junlan. She was average in ability, but had an inflated ego. He needed to mention this to his superiors and get her reassigned. He didn't need an assistant who just showed off. Tang Nian sensed the woman's hostility and withdrew her hand, thinking it was good to avoid unnecessary social interactions with someone like Ni Junlan. Ni Junlan thought she had intimidated Tang Nian and wanted to give old Zhang some face, so she reached out again. But she ended up grasping at air since Tang Nian had already pulled her hand back. Ni Junlan's hand froze in midair, and her face turned ugly as she shot a fierce glare at Tang Nian before retracting her hand. What work do we have to do? Tang Nian didn't even look at her. She thought Ni Junlan was just a self-important fool, and engaging with her would only lower her status. You've had a long journey. Go rest first. Xiao sure. Please take Nian girl to the dorm. Old Zhang didn't call Ni Junlon, letting Xia Wenlin lead her instead. I don't need to rest. Just assign me some work. The sooner I finish, the sooner I can go home. Tang Nian wasn't tired at all. She wanted to finish quickly, so she could get her marriage certificate with Xin Xiao. Seeing that she was indeed in good spirits, old Zhang didn't insist on her resting. He took out a piece of paper from his drawer with several formulas and data sets written on it. This is a problem that has stumped us for half a month. Everyone's calculations have been different, and even the same person gets different results upon recalculating. Not a single set is correct. Old Zhang smiled wryly. The basis conditions were too poor, with only one old computer. Everyone in the base relied on that machine, and the time each person got to use it was limited and insufficient. Calculating data mainly relied on the abacus and manual calculations. In the past half-month, they had used up several meters of draft paper. Everyone lived and worked in the office, wishing they could stretch an hour into 3, yet the data still couldn't be calculated, and the research was stuck. Everyone was anxious. The project timeline was tight. They had only completed a quarter of the work, and a small set of data had been stuck for half a month. At this rate, they might not finish on time, which would hold back the country. Do you know how to use an abacus, Nian girl? Asked old Zhang. Not really, I'm better at manual calculations, Tang Nian replied honestly, shaking her head. In her past life, she mainly used computers, and with the abacus being such an old tool, she could only count to 100. Clap, clap, clap. The pleasant sound of an abacus being played caught Tang Nian's attention. A man was moving his hands so quickly that they seemed to blur, using an unusually large abacus that was twice the length of a regular one. What's she doing here, if she can't even use an abacus? Ni Rulin muttered quietly, but Tang Nian heard her. She chose to ignore it. She was about to get her license, and seeing blood was unlucky, so she needed to keep her cool. I need a private office where I won't be disturbed, Tang Nian requested, as she had a computer in her space and didn't want to struggle with manual calculations. Xiao Xia, arrange that. Old Zhang assigned the task to Xia Wenlin, as he had confidence in Tang Nian. He had noticed her exceptional calculating ability back in Tang Village. She was definitely a math genius. In mathematics, there are only 2 types of people, ordinary people and geniuses. Ordinary people can only linger at the threshold of math, never able to cross it. Mathematics relies heavily on talent. Those without a mathematical gift will never learn it well, no matter how hard they try. Tang Nian was a math genius. Old Zhang had even tried to persuade her to study mathematics, but she refused, as she didn't like the dullness of math and preferred making money. Xia Wenlin led Tang Nian away, and Ni Junlin's expression darkened. She was a top student from Tsinghua University and didn't have a private office, while Tang Nian, a mere high school student, did. Zhang Gong, let me calculate it again, Ni Junlin volunteered, confident she could find the correct data. Go to the workshop and urge them. It's been 2 days. Old Zhang changed the subject. He knew Ni Junlin's abilities well. She was just an ordinary person without much talent in mathematics and would never be able to calculate correctly. He also knew that Ni Junlin got her position as his assistant through connections. Her family had some influence, and they wanted to give her a boost by having her work with him. Despite being from Tsinghua, Ni Junlin was a student from a worker-peasant-soldier university and didn't have much real knowledge. Old Zhang didn't have the energy to guide her on basic theories. It would be too time-consuming. However, Xia Wenlin was a good guy. Although he was also from a worker-peasant-soldier university, he had real skills. Old Zhang appreciated his help during this time. Ni Junlin's face changed slightly, feeling frustrated with Old Zhang. She and Xia Wenlin had arrived together, but Old Zhang clearly favored Xia Wenlin, assigning him important tasks while giving her trivial jobs, always sending her to the workshop to hurry the workers. Why should a top student from Tsinghua be reduced to supervising here? Old Zhang, I've already urged the workshop. I have no work right now. Zhang Gong? Ni Junlin hadn't finished speaking when Old Zhang walked away, leaving her fuming. She planned to call home to pressure Old Zhang. He must be targeting her on purpose. Xia Wenlin took Tang Nian to the office, which was small, with only a desk, a chair, some draft paper, and pens. You do your thing, I'll calculate on my own. Tang Nian was satisfied with the space. It used to be a dormitory and had curtains. Once she pulled them shut, she could access her space. Let me know if you need anything, Xia Wenlin said with a gentle smile, his tone calm and stable, showing he was well suited for research. Okay. Tang Nian nodded. After Xia Wenlin left, she closed the door, drew the curtains, and summoned her space. Inside, she had the most advanced computer. With the formulas old Zhang had given her, she quickly calculated the correct data without taking much time. After verifying it several times, she wrote the correct data on draft paper. It was still too early to go out. She couldn't calculate too quickly, or it would raise suspicions. So, she decided to take a nap in her space. When she woke up, it was dark outside. Woof. Someone just knocked on the door. Reported by Sui. Tang Nian checked the time on her wrist. It was already 8 in the evening. She had slept for 4 or 5 hours and guessed someone was calling her for dinner. She wondered if old Zhang and the others had finished work. She burned a stack of draft paper, squeezed the ink from her pen, and poured some ink from the bottle to create the illusion of a busy afternoon. Then, she took the draft paper with the correct data and went to find old Zhang. Old Zhang's office was still brightly lit, indicating that everyone was still working. The door was slightly ajar, and when Tang Nian gently pushed it open, she saw everyone working tirelessly, with empty food containers on the table. Tang Nian couldn't help but feel respect for their dedication. Such selflessness was rare these days, and it was thanks to people like them that China had become a world power in just a few decades. She admired their spirit of sacrifice, something she couldn't achieve herself. Nian girl, you haven't eaten yet, have you? Old Zhang looked up and saw her. He had just come to find her for dinner but had knocked a few times without getting a response, thinking she was too absorbed in her calculations to notice. When he was deeply focused on calculating data, he disliked being disturbed. Once his rhythm was broken, it was hard to regain the same state. Not yet, Tang Nian admitted, her stomach growling. She handed the draft paper to old Zhang and said, I calculated it. Old Zhang was about to take her to dinner when he heard her say she had calculated it, and he paused, surprised.
So soon?
I'm always quick with numbers.
Tang Nian ziplit confident.
She planned to get faster. The conditions at the base were too poor for her to endure hardships, so it was better to finish quickly and go home. Old Zhang excitedly took the draft paper, looking at the data, which didn't match any of their previous calculations. He wasn't sure if it was correct, but he had a feeling that this time, Nian girl had likely gotten it right. Others were drawn over, unable to believe that the calculations were completed in just one afternoon. Even computers aren't that fast. After all, the base's computer often crashes and wastes time. This data is different from before. It feels wrong. Someone pointed this out, and others shared the same thought. They had doubts about Tang Nian's sudden appearance. If she were a top student from Tsinghua or Peking University, they wouldn't mind, but she was just a high school student. How skilled could she be? She probably doesn't even know calculus, right? Were your previous data correct? Tang Nian asked coldly. Everyone's expressions froze, and the air became quiet. None of them are correct, Xia Wenlin replied. So, on what basis do you think mine is wrong? Tang Nian was not polite at all. If their calculations were wrong, why should they say hers were incorrect? The silence deepened, and everyone looked awkward. Although Tang Nian's words were harsh, they were not wrong. They only had incorrect experiences and really had no right to claim others were wrong. Even if our calculations were wrong, they weren't far off. Yours is way off, it's clearly wrong, and Junlan said dismissively. The data they calculated before only had differences in the last digits, so everyone firmly believed their direction was correct. But Tang Nian's results were vastly different. Even the numbers before the decimal point were wrong, indicating a clear misdirection. Tang Nian looked expressionlessly at the woman and said lightly, You didn't even calculate the correct numbers, so don't be so sure, or you might end up with a bruised face. I'm from Tsinghua. You're just a high school student. Anyone can brag. And Junlon was furious and lost her composure, revealing her true feelings. Old Zhang's expression changed, and he said sternly, "Comrade and I, education is not the only measure of knowledge." I didn't mean it that way. And Junlon realized she had misspoken. Earlier, she had called home, and her father insisted she must curry favor with old Zhang, saying that if she gained his trust and became his student, her future would be bright. Now, she had embarrassed herself in front of old Zhang, and he must be angry. I'm not saying Tang Nian is incapable. I just think her calculations might be wrong since she's a high school student and hasn't had the chance to study advanced mathematics, and Junlon tried to justify herself. Little Tang's advanced mathematics is taught by me. She is my student. Old Zhang's stern gaze swept across everyone. He knew what they were thinking. They were just unhappy about her low education. Everyone felt a jolt, finally understanding why old Zhang insisted on having Tang Nian at the base. She was his student. That explained everything. Old Zhang must want to give his student a boost. Those who left the base would surely have bright futures. And Junlin's face turned ugly. She had tried every way to please old Zhang but couldn't become his student, while Tang Nian, a mere high school student, managed to do so.
Why?
She knew better than anyone how valuable it was to be old Zhang's student. With such a mentor, the future would be limitless. Tang Nian couldn't be bothered with this woman. She lacked self-awareness, and old Zhang would likely kick her out of the base soon. Let's start the verification. Old Zhang arranged for a recalculation, choosing Xia Wenlin and another man, the best calculators in the base. They sat on either side, facing a huge abacus. Old Zhang called out the data, and Xia Wenlin and the other man's hands moved faster and faster, their fingers becoming a blur. Tang Nian couldn't help but admire their true skill. She was merely benefiting from the situation. In terms of true ability, she was far behind any of them. The office was silent, with only the sound of the abacus beads moving and old Zhang's voice calling out numbers. Everyone watched the abacus nervously, not daring to breathe, afraid of disturbing Xia Wenlin and the others. After old Zhang called out the last number, an hour had passed. A series of clicks followed, and both abacuses reset to 0. Everyone's eyes widened, their breathing quickened, unable to believe what they saw. Reset to 0? Really reset to 0? How is that possible? Could they have made a mistake? People began to whisper, unable to accept the reality before them. Resetting to 0 meant Tang Nian's calculations were correct, proving their previous calculations were all wrong. They had made a mistake for half a month. It was so embarrassing. Old Zhang suppressed his excitement and said sternly, "Recalculate. Change the personnel." So, a new round of calculations began with 2 different people. Another hour passed, and the abacus reset to 0 again. Everyone's eyes lit up, and some even shed tears. Calculate again. Old Zhang found 2 more people for a third calculation. These data must be flawless, so they had to calculate repeatedly to ensure everything was perfect. It was already late at night, and another hour passed. The office was filled with alert people, and when they saw the abacus reset to 0 once more, they couldn't contain themselves. "We did it! We finally did it! Success! Ha ha, we finally succeeded!" Everyone jumped for joy, happier than during the new year. They hugged each other, tears of excitement on their faces. They had been stuck for half a month, and now they could finally move forward. Only Junlon was not happy at all. She looked at Tang Nian with jealousy. Why did she succeed? She was just a high school student. How could she do it? "Comrade little Tang, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize your talent before. I was rude. You have real skills. Please allow me to bow to you. Comrade little Tang, you're amazing. Haha, I want to be your disciple." Everyone surrounded Tang Nian. One overly excited man even tried to hug her, but old Zhang stopped him and glared. "What are you doing?" "Haha, I'm just too excited." "Old Zhang, your student is really impressive." The excited man gave Tang Nian a thumbs up, showering her with praise. Old Zhang proudly snorted and said, "Of course my student is impressive. If she weren't, would she be my student?" Tang Nian Nian smiled slightly, affected by their joy, but she wasn't in the mood to celebrate. She was hungry. Is there any food? I'm starving. Tang Nian Nian pressed her stomach, feeling extremely hungry, and her stomach audibly growled, loud enough for everyone in the office to hear. They all quieted down and looked at her, creating an awkward atmosphere.
Gulyalu.
A loud sound came from Tang Nian Nian's stomach, breaking the silence in the room. Without changing her expression, Tang Nian Nian pressed her stomach and calmly asked, "Is there anything to eat? I'll take you. The red braised pork made by the chef in the cafeteria is really good." Zhang Lao felt guilty. He had been so focused on his calculations that he forgot Nian Nian hadn't eaten anything. It was really careless of him. If old Deng found out, he would definitely scold him. Tang Nian Nian regretted not eating before coming out, knowing these people were so absorbed in their work. Now she was so hungry she felt faint. "Zhang Gong, let me take Comrade Tang to eat. You've been busy since morning without a break." Xiao Wenlin offered his help.
I'm fine.
"I'm energetic enough to work all night," Zhang Lao said excitedly, feeling great joy. Nian Nian was his lucky star. He should have invited her sooner. "Let Xie take me to eat. You should go rest." Tang Nian Nian stopped the enthusiastic Zhang Lao. His eyes were red, and his face was unusually flushed, which could be a sign of high blood pressure. She hadn't received her return on investment yet. She couldn't let him collapse.
I'm fine.
"All right, Xia, please take care of her." Zhang Lao's stubbornness softened under Tang Nian Nian's cold gaze. He finally relented and repeatedly instructed Xia Wenlin to take good care of her and not let her go hungry. "Don't worry, Comrade Tang is our treasure. I promise not to let her go hungry," Xia Wenlin joked, and the others laughed indulgently, agreeing with him because Tang Nian Nian truly was their treasure. And Junlin's expression changed slightly, feeling uncomfortable and increasingly jealous of Tang Nian Nian. There were few women in the base, and even fewer young girls. Before Tang Nian Nian arrived, she was one of the few young women in the base and Zhang Lao's assistant. She came from a good family, had a high education, and was beautiful, making her the center of attention. People looked at her the same way they now looked at Tang Nian Nian. And Junlin felt pushed out by her colleagues, who formed a circle around Tang Nian Nian, leaving her outside, watching how dazzling and popular Tang Nian Nian was. Her jealousy was almost tangible, and Junlin clenched her teeth, feeling resentful. Tang Nian Nian must have just gotten lucky. She was only a high school student and couldn't be lucky forever. Eventually, Tang Nian Nian would embarrass herself. After comforting herself for a while, and Junlin felt a bit better, but she didn't realize that her thoughts were visible on her face, and everyone noticed. Zhang Lao glanced at her and decided he needed to send Junlin away soon. She couldn't stay and cause trouble. Tang Nian Nian followed Xia Wenlin to the cafeteria. The scientists at the base were workaholics, often working overnight. The leaders, understanding their hard work, arranged for the cafeteria to stay open at night to provide meals for the scientists. So, even though it was midnight, there was still food in the cafeteria. Tang Nian Nian ordered rice and red braised pork, along with a freshly made seaweed egg soup. She dug in, and Zhang Lao hadn't lied. The red braised pork was indeed delicious. Not all cafeteria food was bad. Red braised pork was perfect for large-scale cooking. It tasted better than what was made in small pots at home. Tang Nian Nian enjoyed every bite of meat and rice. Xia Wenlin sat across from her, watching and almost drooling, with a gentle smile in his eyes. He asked, "Is it enough?" Tang Nian Nian looked up, surprised to see he was still there. "You haven't left?" Xia Wenlin smiled and explained, "Zhang Gong asked me to take care of you, and I promised. You should go get some sleep. I'll head back after I finish eating." Tang Nian Nian preferred to eat without someone watching her, especially a strange man. It spoiled her appetite. Xia Wenlin's smile faltered slightly, but he still maintained a polite demeanor. "The dormitory isn't close to the cafeteria. I'll accompany you. The base isn't entirely safe." "Not safe? Are there thieves in the base?" Tang Nian Nian became curious. The base was heavily guarded. How could it not be safe? Xiao Wenlin smiled slightly and explained, the base is being watched by many people with ill intentions. Even with tight security, there can be infiltrators. Recently, the base detected a radio signal, but the culprit has hidden too well. They haven't been caught yet. Tang Nian frowned slightly, realizing there might be spies in the base. For such an important military secret base to have spies infiltrating was concerning. Their security wasn't very good. Thank you for letting me know. Tang Nian didn't refuse any longer and continued eating. Nothing was more important than food. She wasn't afraid of spies. Anyone who crossed her would be in trouble. Not at all. Xiao Wenlin smiled, trying not to disturb her meal, and moved slightly to the side. This action made Tang Nian think better of him. At least he wasn't an annoying man. A few more people entered the cafeteria, all just finishing their shifts. They greeted Xiao Wenlin and glanced curiously at Tang Nian. Comrade Xia, is this young lady Zhang Lao's student? Someone asked. Yes, Comrade Tang has made important contributions since she arrived. Xiao Wenlin replied with a smile. I just heard about it. As expected of Zhang Lao's student, she's impressive. They praised her, admiring those with real talent, regardless of their education or age. Tang Nian nodded slightly in acknowledgement and continued eating. The group got their meals and sat at a nearby table, discussing recent research progress. Their voices grew louder as they argued passionately. Anyone unaware might think they were fighting. They're just discussing loudly, not arguing, Xiao Wenlin said with a smile.
Oh.
Tang Nian didn't look up, politely responding. Even if they were fighting, it had nothing to do with her. Xiao Wenlin's smile faltered as he sensed Tang Nian's distance. She seemed difficult to get along with. After that, he fell silent, shifting slightly, resting his left hand on the table, his fingers lightly tapping it like playing a piano, making a barely audible sound. Tang Nian noticed, but didn't pay attention. Many people instinctively tap the table while sitting. She sometimes did it too. It seemed like a natural human action. Xiao Wenlin glanced at her with a strange look, as if relieved. He stopped tapping the table. Tang Nian finished a big bowl of food, even mixing the soup with her rice. She got up, holding her empty bowl and chopsticks to return them to the cafeteria staff. Xiao Wenlin followed her, smiling as he said, I want a steamed bun to eat later, when I get hungry. At the window, the cafeteria staff had a friendly smile. He took the bowl and chopsticks, speaking with a northern accent, and cheerfully asked, Are you full? If not, you can have more. Yes, I'm full. It was really delicious.
Tan Nian ziplit.
The cafeteria staff smiled widely, and Xiao Wenlin tapped the window a few times and politely said, Master, please give me a steamed bun with some pickled vegetables. Sure. Xia, are you working late again tonight? I'll get you some porridge. You can heat it up on the stove to help your stomach. The cafeteria staff spoke with concern, serving half a bowl of plain porridge along with some pickled vegetables and a steamed bun. While serving, he tapped the spoon against the pot a few times to clean it off. Tang Nian stood silently beside them, glancing between Xiao Wenlin and the cafeteria staff. Xiao Wenlin carried half a lunchbox of porridge and a steamed bun, walking with Tang Nian toward the dormitory building. The male and female dormitories were in the same building, but there were fewer women in the base, mostly men. Tang Nian's room was next to Ni Junlin's. However, Tang Nian had a single room, which she specifically requested before coming, as she wasn't used to sharing a room with others. Ni Junlin shared a room with another female colleague. Tang Nian's room was on the third floor, while Xiao Wenlin was on the second. He walked her to her door. It was already late at night, but the dormitory building was mostly lit, and there were people moving in the hallway. Comrade Tang, good night, Xiao Wenlin said with a smile before turning to go downstairs, running into Ni Junlin, who was carrying a basin. He greeted her cheerfully, still awake? I just finished washing up, Ni Junlin replied, casting a sharp glance at Tang Nian. She had just learned that Tang Nian was living in a single room right next to hers, a room she had requested multiple times but was denied. Why did she get it? Comrade Tang just arrived. You should take care of her, Xiao Wenlin said gently. He and Ni Junlon were classmates, but they only became familiar after arriving at the base. They hardly spoke in school. She came from a well-off family, while he was from a poor background, living in two different worlds. Does she need my help? Ni Junlon snapped, her anger flaring. She turned and stormed into her room, slamming the door. Tang Nian had already entered her room, but heard their conversation. Ni Junlin's reaction was expected. The dormitory was quite simple but very clean, with new bedding. Tang Nian spread out her bedding and quickly fell asleep. When she woke up, it was already bright outside. The dormitory was empty. Everyone had gone to work, leaving only Tang Nian. She took her time washing up and headed to the cafeteria for breakfast. The cook from last night was not there. Instead, there was another quiet cook who didn't smile and had a very serious expression. After breakfast, Tang Nian slowly walked toward the office, not in a hurry at all. Before she reached the office door, she heard Ni Junlin's voice. It's already 9:30, and she still hasn't come to work. How careless. Comrade Tang must have used her brain too much yesterday. It's normal for her to sleep a bit longer. Someone else said. Comrade Tang is still young. It's normal for her to love sleeping, another added. Everyone was defending Tang Nian, eager to pamper her. Who doesn't use their brain every day? Why is she treated differently? Are the office rules just for show? Ni Junlin's anger flared up again. It was clear that Tang Nian had done something wrong. Why should she not be punished? If you're tired, Xiao and you should take a break. You don't look well. Someone suggested. I still have work to finish. I'm not chatting.
Ni Junlan schnapped.
Everyone made excuses to leave, leaving Ni Junlon alone, her face a mix of anger and frustration. Tang Nian pushed the door open and entered, glancing at Ni Junlon. This woman was both arrogant and foolish. She wasn't worth her effort. Humph. Ni Junlon huffed, lifting her chin and turning away.
Good morning.
Xiao Wenlin approached with a stack of papers, smiling as he greeted her. Tang Nian nodded and asked, Where did Zhang go? He went to the workshop. Let me take you there. Xiao Wenlin set down the documents and led her to find Zhang Lao. They walked in silence as Tang Nian didn't want to talk, and Xiao Wenlin couldn't find a topic either. Master Zhao, are you not taking a break today? They passed the cafeteria and ran into Master Zhao from last night. Xiao Wenlin greeted him first. He seemed to have good relationships with everyone at the base, even chatting with the logistics staff. I need to take leave for a wedding in a few days, so I'm making up for it today, Master Zhao explained with his usual friendly smile. He was carrying 2 buckets of steaming pig feed, setting them down as he spoke and brushing off some dust from his clothes. I'm off to feed the pigs. You two get back to work, Master Zhao said, dusting himself off and quickly walking away. The base raises pigs? Tang Nian asked. Yes, several. We slaughtered the big ones for the new year. Now we have the little ones, Xiao Wenlin replied with a smile. Master Zhao is from the north, right? Tang Nian quickly shifted the topic from pigs to Master Zhao. Yes, he's from Hebei province. The steamed buns he makes are delicious, Xiao Wenlin responded. You're also from Hebei, right? Tang Nian asked, her questions jumping around as if she was just making small talk to avoid awkward silence. Yes, both Master Zhao and I are from Hebei. Comrade Tang, you're impressive to notice my accent, Xiao Wenlin said, surprised, his expression thoughtful. My partner is from Hebei, Tang Nian casually explained as they arrived at the workshop, where the machines were loud, and Zhang Lao was talking with the workers.
Zhang.
Xiao Wenlin called out. Zhang Lao turned around, and upon seeing Tang Nian, his face lit up with a warm smile. Have you had breakfast? You must be tired from last night. Why didn't you sleep a bit longer? I slept enough. I just had breakfast, Tang Nian replied, walking over to look at the blueprints in Zhang Lao's hands. They were for several small parts, but the precision required was very high. Zhang, these parts take too much time. We worked overtime until midnight last night. We really didn't slack off, one of the workers said, sounding a bit wronged. They genuinely worked overtime every day, but still couldn't keep up with the schedule. They wished they could split themselves like Sun Wukong. Thank you for your hard work, Zhang Lao sighed. He knew he was asking too much, but these parts were urgent. It's mainly because your precision requirements are high. Our lathe can't meet them. If we can get 2 out of 10 done successfully, that's good, the worker replied, anxious. But even if he was worried, there was nothing he could do without the right tools. Zhang Lao looked at the old machines in the workshop, feeling helpless and pained. The country was still too backward. If only they had advanced foreign machinery. I'll take a look. Tang Nian took the blueprint and saw that the precision requirements were indeed high, and the process was complex. Work like this is considered custom parts, and ordinary factories find it hard to produce because of low efficiency and high labor costs. No one wants to do it. If we have a better lathe, can you improve efficiency? She asked. Of course. The worker was confident in his skills. Tang Nian walked over to check the lathe. It was produced in the 1950s in Czechoslovakia. Its performance was decent, but it had been used for too long, and its efficiency had decreased significantly. Still, this Czech lathe was the best in the workshop. She shook her head secretly. Modern China is really poor. In such a large base, they couldn't even find a good machine tool. Tang Nian pulled Engineer Zhang to a corner and whispered, I can get a good lathe, but it can't be done openly. She had a batch of semi-automatic lathes in her space, which had much better precision than this Czech one. With a little modification, they could be used. Engineer Zhang was overjoyed and quietly asked, Can you really get a good lathe, Nian? Yes, I have connections from the trade fair. They can buy advanced lathes from abroad and transport them from Hong Kong, but I have to go pick them up myself. Tang Nian planned to make a trip to Hong Kong to bring some machine tools out openly. I'll apply for it. Nian, don't tell anyone else about this. Engineer Zhang's expression was serious. If someone with bad intentions found out, Nian would get into trouble. He would first test the waters with the higher-ups. I won't say anything. Tang Nian promised. She definitely wouldn't spill the beans. She also had something to ask. Are there spies in the base? Xiao Xie told you, right? There are indeed spies, and we haven't caught them yet. This person is hiding too deep, Engineer Zhang sighed, and shook his head. Because they hadn't caught the bad guys, the base had restricted entry and exit, except for logistics staff. Nian, don't get too close to anyone and don't interact too much. I don't know who is good or bad. If you need help, you can find Xiao Xie. He's quite reliable. Engineer Zhang emphasized his trust in Xiao Wenlin. Is Xiao Wenlin your student? Tang Nian glanced over at Xiao Wenlin, who was talking to the worker. He's my assistant sent from above. Both he and Ni Junlan were sent by the higher-ups. Xiao Xie is more stable and knowledgeable. He has helped me a lot. He's a very ambitious young man. Engineer Zhang didn't hide his admiration for Xiao Wenlin and planned to take him as a student after the project ended. Ni Junlan has a bad temper and is not very knowledgeable. Don't pay her any mind, Xiao Tang. I've already reported to the higher-ups to have her reassigned, Engineer Zhang reassured her. The data I calculated yesterday had one wrong formula you gave me. If I calculate based on that, I can never get the correct data. Tang Nian suddenly shifted to the data topic. She had noticed this yesterday and was puzzled that so many talented scientists could collectively make a mistake. It seemed unusual. But she didn't think too much about it. Research often involves countless failures. Yet now, she found herself thinking conspiracy theories. Engineer Zhang was taken aback. Then his expression turned serious as he muttered, No wonder our calculated data is so off. It turns out the initial direction was wrong. Who calculated that incorrect formula?
Tang Nian asked.
She already had an answer in her mind. It was either Xiao Xie or Ni Junlan, but I guided them, so I share some responsibility. Engineer Zhang felt guilty and knew he had to take the main blame. I'll go ask. Engineer Zhang wasn't looking to assign blame. He just wanted to clarify things so that Xiao Wenlin could learn from the mistake in the future. Was another female colleague supposed to be sent to the base? Tang Nian asked. How did you know that? Engineer Zhang looked surprised. Very few people in the base knew about this. Only he and the main person in charge. Why didn't she come? Tang Nian continued to ask without answering. There seemed to be an unexpected incident. I'm not clear on the details. Engineer Zhang shook his head. That female colleague was also supposed to be his assistant, but the higher-ups informed him that she couldn't come, without specifying why. They said they would find him another assistant. That's why he recommended Nian Nian. It was better to find someone himself than wait for someone from above. Engineer Zhang, I'm heading back to the office. Xia Wenlin approached. Go ahead, take this blueprint with you. Engineer Zhang handed over the blueprint. Xia Wenlin took it, nodded at Tang Nian Nian and left. Tang Nian Nian sighed. This old man really trusted Xia Wenlin. If he knew the truth, Engineer Zhang would probably feel very upset. I'm going to apply to the higher-ups. Nian Nian, you can wander around or go back to the dorm to sleep. There's nothing much to do today. Engineer Zhang hurried to make a phone call, but Tang Nian Nian stopped him and directly asked, who is the person in charge of the base? Nian Nian, why do you want to find him? Is something wrong? Engineer Zhang was startled. About that bad guy, I know who it is. Tang Nian Nian tried to downplay it, but still frightened Engineer Zhang, who looked around nervously and pulled her to a hidden spot, whispering, Nian Nian, how do you know? Is the spy nearby? Does he have any weapons? Poor Engineer Zhang was sweating in fear. He really wasn't very brave and had no political instincts, only focusing on scientific research.
He's not here.
Now take me to find him. Tang Nian Nian found it amusing. If she had known this old man was so timid, she would have been more tactful. Engineer Zhang didn't dare delay and led her to find the person in charge of the base. The person in charge, named Liao, was a stern military man, and Engineer Zhang referred to him as Representative Liao. You've only been here a day. How do you know who the spy is? Representative Liao's sharp gaze showed he was skeptical of Tang Nian Nian's words. They hadn't found any leads so far. How could this young girl know? I know Morse code. Tang Nian Nian's answer seemed off-topic, but clarified her point. Representative Liao's gaze became even sharper, but Tang Nian Nian wasn't afraid and met his eyes calmly. How do you know Morse code? My boyfriend taught me. He's Shen Xiao from the Shanghai military region. Representative Liao's demeanor softened immediately, and he smiled, kindly asking, so you're Shen Xiao's girlfriend? Absolutely. Tang Nian Nian's response deepened Representative Liao's smile, and his attitude became even more gentle, like a kind elder, as he asked, who do you think the spy is? I suspect Xia Wenlin and Chef Zhao from the cafeteria. I still don't know if they have accomplices. Tang Nian Nian shared her findings. She had sensed it last night and was even more certain today. If anyone was to blame, it was Xia Wenlin's overconfidence, thinking she was clueless about Morse code, which led to him revealing himself in front of her. Is Xiao Xia a spy? Isn't he just a poor farmer with a clean background? His family even lost relatives to the Japanese. How could he be a spy? Old Zhang couldn't believe it. Xiao Xia was actually a spy? He had trusted this spy so much. Xiao Xia knew many confidential details. This was bad. He is my assistant. He knows a lot of secret information. Has it been leaked already? Old Zhang was anxious, pacing back and forth. Those documents were the result of their hard work over the past 6 months and must not be exposed. Don't worry, old Zhang. The spy has only sent one telegram, and it was interrupted. It probably hasn't been sent out yet, Representative Liao reassured him. Not necessarily. Xiao Xia might not get out, but Chef Zhao from the cafeteria can. Tang Nian Nian poured cold water on them. Chef Zhao was part of the logistics and could often leave the base. The information might already be out. Of course, that depended on whether Xiao Xia had obtained any confidential information. Now it was Representative Liao's turn to be unsettled.
He asked how she was sure Xiao Xia was a spy.
Last night, Xiao Xia took me to the cafeteria. While we were eating, he sat across from me and tapped out Morse code on the table, testing me. He repeated the phrase, "The cherry blossoms in my hometown are beautiful, right?" At first, Tang Nian Nian thought he was just tapping randomly, but after he did it 3 times, she realized it was Morse code. It seemed Xiao Xia mistook her for an accomplice. I ignored it, pretending not to understand. After we finished eating, Xiao Xie went to the window to get steamed buns and tapped on the glass a few times, telling Chef Zhao I wasn't that person. Then Chef Zhao responded by tapping his spoon on the pot, saying he would go out to gather information. Tang Nian shared her discovery from last night. These two were quite bold, passing messages in front of so many people. However, Morse code was a necessary skill for spies, and scientists might not know it well enough to understand what they were saying. She continued. On the way to the workshop, Xiao Xie ran into Chef Zhao again. Chef Zhao was brushing off dust from his clothes and told Xiao Xie that their accomplice had an accident on the road and advised him to be cautious. Xiao Xie thought she wouldn't understand Morse code, so he carelessly passed information in front of her. Little did he know, Tang Nian was quite skilled in it. During the apocalypse, information was almost paralyzed, and she learned to rely on radio transmissions. No wonder you asked me earlier if a woman had been sent from above.
Turns out she's also a spy.
Old Zhang was furious. These Japanese were like bacteria, sneaky and malicious. Representative Liao's expression was also grim. A spy had hidden right under his nose. He usually admired Xiao Xie and thought well of Chef Zhao, but he had misjudged them. This felt worse than a slap in the face. Thank you, Comrade Tang. I will handle this matter well, Representative Liao said solemnly, his demeanor serious. Is there a reward?
Tang Nian asked.
She had done such a great job. Surely she deserved some recognition? Representative Liao paused, then smiled. I will recommend you for a commendation. The young girl had achieved something significant. At least she could earn a second-class merit, which was a great honor. Tang Nian felt a bit disappointed. It seemed there would be no reward after all. But having a military honor was still good. She could show it to her grandfather, and he would surely be pleased. Representative Liao was busy with work, so after Tang Nian finished talking with Old Zhang, she took her leave. On the way back to the office, Old Zhang sighed, clenched his teeth, and expressed his righteous anger, his expressions more dramatic than a performance. You will definitely raise suspicions like this. Tang Nian reminded him, saying he was too impatient. It was just a minor spy. She could easily expose him. I'm just frustrated. I need to calm down. I can't mess things up. Old Zhang stopped, took a few deep breaths, and finally returned to his usual self. When they got back to the office, they heard Xiao Xie and Ni Junlan arguing. Those documents were entrusted to me by Engineer Zhang. Without his permission, I won't show them to anyone, Ni Junlan said loudly, standing her ground. I have some doubts in my calculations and want to see the previous data. Can you supervise me while I look? Xiao Xie pleaded nicely, and others nearby supported him, saying it was just a small matter and didn't need to be so tense. No way. Wait for Engineer Zhang to return, and you can discuss it with him. Ni Junlan was strict and showed no leniency. Xiao and I, you are really too stubborn. The supporters shook their heads, looking dissatisfied. They thought Ni Junlan lacked compassion, which explained her poor reputation in the base. Then I'll wait for Engineer Zhang to return and ask him. It's my fault. Xiao Xie took the initiative to admit his mistake without getting angry. Ni Junlan huffed and raised her chin as she walked away. She was Engineer Zhang's important assistant, so it was natural for her to guard the crucial data. Xiao Xie was just a flatterer. Why should he act so arrogantly in front of her? Humph. Old Zhang and Tang Nian listened at the door before entering. When Xiao Xie saw them, he smiled and approached, saying, Engineer Zhang, I want to check the previous data. Comrade Ni said I need your permission. Got it. Old Zhang nodded and called Ni Junlan to his office. As the chief engineer, he had a private office, but he usually worked in the main office. Ni Junlan thought Xiao Xie had complained about her and shouted, I did nothing wrong. Those are confidential documents and cannot be shown to anyone without your permission, which you said must be obtained first. You did well. You must follow the rules. Old Zhang rarely praised her. Although she lacked some ability and had a bad temper, she was principled and had done well just now. Ni Junlan was taken aback, her mouth agape. She was not criticized but praised instead. She felt a bit flattered, her face turning red as she stammered, My dad always said that we can't compromise on principles. Everything must be done according to the rules. Your father is right. Are all the important documents in your possession? Old Zhang complimented her and casually asked.
Of course, they are with me.
I am your assistant. And Junlon spoke as if it were obvious. She always believed she was a more important assistant than Xiao Xie, so she naturally took charge of the important documents and set the rule that borrowing them required Engineer Zhang's approval. Since she was a woman, a pretty one at that, and came from a good family, no one minded this minor issue. After all, she was just guarding the documents, so there was nothing to argue about. Has anyone borrowed them in the meantime? Old Zhang asked. Engineer Li and Engineer Zhang have borrowed them. Xiao Xie borrowed them 3 times, but I didn't agree and told him to ask you. And Junlon had a good memory and articulated things clearly. Old Zhang sighed in relief, secretly glad that Junlon had taken charge of the documents, thwarting Xiao Xie's scheme. Well done.
Keep it up.
Old Zhang praised her generously. He changed his mind. Although Junlon was academically weaker, she was principled and fair, making her a good choice for the role of data custodian, so there was no need to send her back. Junlon, who received the compliment, felt as sweet as honey, her feet barely touching the ground. When she opened the door, she ran into Tang Nianyan, held her head high, and walked away proudly. Tang Nianyan heard her and thought Junlon had stumbled upon a lucky break, unintentionally disrupting Xie Wenlin's scheme. She entered the office, closed the door, and said to Old Zhang, Junlon is suitable for the custodian role. Old Zhang nodded with a smile. I'll apply to change her position. Tang Nianyan smiled and volunteered for work. She was quite free and wanted to finish her tasks early to leave. Old Zhang had initially worried that she had overexerted herself the night before, but seeing her rosy complexion and vibrant spirit, he felt reassured and assigned her more calculations. Tang Nianyan took a stack of draft paper back to her dormitory. She started calculating in her space, taking her time this time, and submitted the data to Old Zhang 3 days later. During those 3 days, she didn't return to the office, just ate in the cafeteria and went back to her dorm, thinking Xie Wenlin had been caught, only to unexpectedly see him in the office. Are you looking for Engineer Zhang, Comrade Tang? Xie Wenlin spoke to her first, still smiling as usual, but Tang Nianyan sensed a hint of panic in his eyes. Yes. Tang Nianyan nodded slightly and headed for Old Zhang's office, but overheard someone nearby saying, Master Zhao from the cafeteria has been transferred, right? I haven't seen him for days. The new cook's steamed buns aren't as good. Why was he suddenly transferred? Did something happen? Who knows, maybe he had family issues. They casually discussed it, not spending much time on the topic. Tang Nianyan glanced at Xie Wenlin. His calm demeanor seemed clouded, and he looked more anxious. Master Zhao's disappearance made him uneasy. Perhaps Representative Liao wanted to test whether Xie Wenlin had other accomplices, which is why only Master Zhao was caught, to unsettle Xie Wenlin. Tang Nianyan ignored Xie Wenlin and went to find Old Zhang, handing him the calculated data. Old Zhang didn't ask many questions this time and directly found someone to verify it, still Xie Wenlin and another person. After 3 rounds of verification, they successfully reached 0, and the office erupted in excited cheers. Everyone looked at Tang Nianyan with growing admiration, as if she were a rare treasure. Little Tang, you're amazing. Little Tang, you're our treasure. Everyone gathered around her, showering her with praise. Even the most reserved person in the department couldn't hold back. Their compliments were heartfelt, with no jealousy. Since Tang Nianyan arrived, the research progress had visibly improved, and they all knew it. I couldn't have done it without everyone's help. Tang Nianyan stepped back several paces, not used to such enthusiastic praise and not liking hugs. Keeping a distance felt better. She wasn't being modest. It truly was a team effort. The data Old Zhang gave her was the result of collective hard work, not just her own. Your contribution is the biggest, we all know that. Yeah, before little Tang came, we were stuck. Once she arrived, it was like taking off in a plane, zooming ahead. Little Tang, how is your brain so sharp? It doesn't look that big. Everyone chimed in with compliments, making Tang Nianyan feel a bit embarrassed, so she decided to step outside. If they were scolding or hitting her, she wouldn't feel bad. She would just fight back. But with such enthusiastic praise, she felt a bit uncomfortable and needed to cool off outside. Haha, little Tang is shy. Stop it. Girls are shy, right? Engineer Zhang. Does little Tang have a partner? The conversation shifted direction, with several older scientists showing interest in Tang Nianyan's love life, wanting to introduce her to someone. My son is 20, still in college. He may not be as sharp as little Tang, but he's not bad, studying physics, so they have common ground. They'd have plenty to talk about after marriage. I have a student, 21, working at the research institute, also very bright and good-looking, even more so than little Xia. When mentioned, Xia Wenlin snapped back to reality, smiling politely. The room buzzed with introductions of their talented children or students, all exceptional, as they wouldn't suggest anyone unworthy for little Tang. Outside, calm Tang Nianyan remained composed. This was just a small scene, nothing to panic about. Engineer Zhang spoke up. Stop thinking about it. Little Tang has a partner. If she weren't so young, they would have already registered their marriage. The room fell silent. After a long pause, someone asked, Little Tang has a partner? Yes, a childhood sweetheart. The young man is a company-level officer in the army, with a bright future. You don't need to worry. Engineer Zhang had met Shen Xiao, and thought he was a good guy who treated little Tang well. Their long-standing relationship provided a solid foundation for marriage, which he and old Deng believed was suitable. Wait, if they're childhood sweethearts, the young man can't be much older than little Tang, right? How did he become a company-level officer? Is he trying to trick her? Someone spotted a flaw, worried that Tang Nianyan might be deceived. There are commanders in their 20s. Why wouldn't there be company-level officers? Fighting is like our research. Ordinary people must take steady steps, while geniuses can leap ahead without delay. Engineer Zhang's words struck a nerve, especially with those in the room, as they all progressed step by step. Little Tang was a genius who jumped ahead. Engineer Zhang is right. Little Tang is a genius, so her partner must also be exceptional. The ones we suggested are just ordinary people, unworthy of little Tang. Someone added. Everyone agreed, dropping the idea of matchmaking for Tang Nianyan. In truth, these people were being humble. Those recognized by the state and brought into the base for research were definitely not ordinary but exceptional talents. The young people they suggested were also outstanding, but Tang Nianyan's brilliance overshadowed them, making them seem ordinary. Tang Nianyan stretched and went back to her dorm to sleep. Unknowingly, she had been at the base for a month, calculating and verifying daily, almost forgetting the outside world. However, the project was progressing impressively, and if this pace continued, it might be completed ahead of schedule. In the army, Shen Xiao returned joyfully after a month of relentless tasks without a day off, saving up his leave for their wedding. He had planned to take Nianyan to a neighboring country to collect jade, something she had been wanting to do for a long time. But upon meeting Ming Jinxing, he was doused with cold water. Are you back from the base yet? When did you leave? Shen Xiao asked with a cold face. A month ago. It's a crucial military project, so don't disturb Xiao Tang. Ming Jinxing was worried that this guy would cause trouble at the base, so he tried to warn him. I'm going to find Yan Yan to get married. Shen Xiao turned to leave, not caring about any important project. He just wanted to get married. Ming Jinxing jumped up and grabbed him. What's more important, getting married or national defense? Can't you wait a few months? I asked over there, and at most, they'll release your Nian Nian in half a year. Shen Xiao turned his head, giving a cold stare that made Ming Jinxing look away nervously. When you married Aunt Ming, why didn't you wait 6 months? That's different. When I married your Aunt Ming, she didn't have to work on a national defense project. Ming Jinxing confidently explained that his wife was just a nurse at the time, and there was no need for her to be involved in anything major, so their wedding went smoothly. I heard you were injured when you got married, and the doctor said you couldn't consummate the marriage. You didn't listen, and the wound opened up, requiring 18 stitches. The doctor said you were out of your mind. Xin Zhao's tone was icy, exposing Ming Jinqing's false front. Ming Jinqing's expression changed slightly, and he shouted, "Which jerk is spreading rumors? I was just a bit injured. I could have gone to battle. The stitches were from slipping and falling, and had nothing to do with the wedding. Don't listen to those people. I'm not that kind of person." His voice got quieter, and under Xin Zhao's knowing gaze, Ming Jinqing sulkily fell silent, turning his head away. Xin Zhao walked away, and Ming Jinqing called after him, "Don't tear down the base." No response. Xin Zhao was already far away. "You little brat, how dare you talk about me?" Ming Jinqing snorted, sat down, took a big sip of tea, and angrily cursed, "Which son of a gun is talking nonsense behind my back? I swear I'll find out. It's been over 20 years. Why are people still talking? It's so annoying." A day later, Xin Zhao arrived at the base, showing his credentials to find Representative Liao. "You came at the right time. Help me catch a few pests." Representative Liao recognized him from their previous work together and knew Xin Zhao's abilities. "I don't have time. I'm looking for my wife." Xin Zhao ignored him, focused only on finding Nian Yan to get their marriage certificate. "Which wife?" Representative Liao pretended to be confused to avoid Xin Zhao distracting Tang Nian Yan.
"That Nian."
Xin Zhao turned to leave. He had informed Representative Liao and was now off to find his wife. Representative Liao hurried to catch up. "Don't cause trouble. Comrade Tang is a key player in the project and can't have any issues." Xin Zhao frowned, dissatisfied. "Nian Yan is not part of the base. She's been working for a month. Why should his Nian Yan be overworked without any benefits?" "I asked Comrade Tang Nian Yan. As long as she agrees, she can be transferred to the base anytime, but she refused," Representative Liao quickly explained, showing his sincerity. Xin Zhao huffed, still looking displeased. Representative Liao added, "I've already recommended Comrade Tang Nian Yan for her contributions. She helped the base catch a deeply hidden spy and did a great job." "What rank?" "Second-class merit. After the project is completed, I will recommend her again for at least a third-class merit," Representative Liao said with a smile. Not just Tang Nian Yan, everyone involved in the research would be rewarded. Xin Zhao's expression softened a bit, and he asked, "With such a big base, isn't there anyone useful? Why must they keep his Nian Yan?" Representative Liao's smile faltered. This guy's words were really harsh, and he was dark-skinned with a sharper tongue. Comrade Tang Nian Yan is a genius, with extraordinary calculation abilities. No one else can replace her. Representative Liao spoke honestly. Tang Nian Yan was better than a computer, calculating quickly and accurately without making mistakes, so the base definitely couldn't let her go. Seeing Xin Zhao's expression soften, he felt pleased and continued to flatter. "You and Comrade Tang Nian Yan are truly a match made in heaven. Only you deserve her. You're the perfect couple." Xin Zhao's stern face gradually relaxed, and he slightly smiled. He hadn't noticed before, but Representative Liao had a way with words. The more he said, the more Xin Zhao liked it. Representative Liao seemed to sense his thoughts and kept showering him with compliments until Xin Zhao was smiling broadly, and he finally sighed in relief, wiping his sweat. Indeed, flattery never fails. The old saying holds true. "Give Nian a few days off, and she can come back after we get the certificate." Xin Zhao took a step back, wanting to get the certificate first, and then take a wedding leave after the project was done. "You're not taking a wedding leave? Just getting the certificate?" Representative Liao asked with concern. A cold glare shot his way made Representative Liao feel uneasy, and he awkwardly smiled. The phone rang. Representative Liao immediately answered, unusually eager, leaving the person on the other end stunned. He usually let the phone ring 4 or 5 times before answering, claiming he was busy. "The last request you made was approved, but they want to meet Comrade Tang Nian Yan." Representative Liao glanced at Xin Zhao and excitedly said, "I have an even better plan. You know Night Owl, right? He's Comrade Tang Nian Yan's partner. This task would be perfect for them to do together." Night Owl's partner is Tang Nian Yan? The person on the other end sounded surprised. Night Owl was well known in their field, and everyone knew him. Their leaders had tried hard to transfer Night Owl, but Ming Jinqing refused to let him go. That's right. They're about to get married, Representative Liao replied. There was silence for a few seconds on the other end before they said, I will report this to the leaders. Representative Liao hung up and met Xin Zhao's gaze, quickly explaining, it's a good thing. They will definitely agree. Then you and Tang can go to Hong Kong, working while on vacation. How great is that? What's in Hong Kong? Xin Zhao frowned. He didn't believe in free lunches. Moreover, the tasks he took on were dangerous, and he didn't want Nian Nian to be at risk. Representative Liao did not hide anything and explained that Tang Nian Nian had connections in Hong Kong. The base urgently needs advanced machine tools. Xiao Tang said she has a way to get them. I reported it, and they agreed to let her go to Hong Kong to buy machine tools. You two are perfect for this. Work and vacation at the same time. What identity will we go with? Shen Xiao quickly got to the point. Representative Liao awkwardly smiled and said, you can only go as undocumented immigrants, and to avoid suspicion, you'll need to find a way to get there on your own. In Hong Kong, various foreign powers are mixed together, all watching China. The U.S. has stated that no country is allowed to sell machine tools to China, so Xin Zhao and his team can only operate under false identities. Nian Nian can't go. I will. Xin Zhao refused. The situation in Hong Kong is too chaotic, with gang fights almost every day, along with other foreign influences. It's too dangerous. Can you buy the machine tools? Liao's question hit Xin Zhao hard, making him realize that during this trip to Hong Kong, Tang Nian Nian is the main player, and he is just her bodyguard. He added, don't worry, the journey might be a bit dangerous, but with your skills, you won't let little Tang get into trouble. Once in Hong Kong, if anything happens, just go to the office. It won't be dangerous. The worst outcome would be not being able to buy advanced machine tools, but little Tang's safety is the priority. Nothing can happen to her. Xin Zhao was successfully persuaded. He had been to Hong Kong for missions before, and there are many goods there that Nian Nian would like. So he agreed. Liao poured himself a big cup of tea, his throat burning. Xin Zhao was stubborn, and it took a lot of convincing. After finishing his drink, he took the opportunity to persuade Xin Zhao to help catch the spy. Since we already know the target, why not just catch him? Xin Zhao asked, confused. We want to lure out his accomplices, but he hasn't contacted them lately. Liao sighed. Ever since Master Zhao left the cafeteria, Xiao Wenlin has been quiet, spending all his time in the office or dormitory. If he hadn't known his identity beforehand, he would have been easily fooled. Force him to contact them. Xin Zhao said coldly. He never waits passively, he always takes the initiative. If the snake doesn't come out of its hole, he will find a way to make it come out. How do we force him? Liao humbly asked for advice, as he was not as skilled as Xin Zhao in this area. After understanding the situation, Xin Zhao heard Liao say, it's a pity that the woman died too quickly. Otherwise, we could have interrogated her for information and disguised ourselves as her accomplices to lure the snake out. He heard that the woman sent over was killed as soon as she appeared, without even making it to the hospital. They knew nothing about her background. Xin Zhao raised an eyebrow but didn't mention that he was the one who killed her. That woman was meeting with her accomplice, and since he was tracking that accomplice, he decided to eliminate them all without leaving anyone behind. We don't need to know the details, just find a woman to impersonate her, Xin Zhao confidently said. I'll handle it. He knew the woman's appearance and that the people at the base had never seen her, so as long as they found a woman to impersonate her, they could lure those pests out. Liao, overwhelmed during this time, let Xin Zhao take care of it since he was the expert. To ensure success, Xin Zhao didn't meet with Tang Nian Nian. He stayed at the base and requested a bold and careful female colleague he had worked with before, who had also lived among the Japanese. The next day, Zhang Lao brought a short-haired, capable woman in her 30s, introducing her as Comrade Jia Qing. Everyone applauded warmly to welcome Comrade Jia Qing. Jia Qing was cheerful and outgoing, quickly getting along with everyone at the office, even the workers in the workshop and cafeteria. One day, while everyone was having lunch in the cafeteria, Tang Nian Nian ordered her favorite braised pork chop and braised fish, with rice, and found a seat to eat. Soon after, Xiao and Lin sat down across from her. Then Jia Qing arrived, sitting next to Tang Nian with a few people across from her. Jia Qing knew these people well and chatted with them while eating. She lightly tapped her fingers on the table, and no one else noticed anything unusual. Tang Nian noticed but remained calm. Xiao Wenlin's expression changed slightly, a glimmer of surprise in his eyes. He finished his meal, without drawing attention, and left. Jia Qing also finished her meal, washed her bowl, and leisurely walked toward the dormitory, running into Xiao Wenlin halfway. "Comrade Jia, have you eaten?" Xiao Wenlin asked with a smile. "Just finished." "Are you heading back to the dormitory too?" "Yes, we are on the same path." They walked side by side, but soon they turned and entered a bamboo grove. "Why were you a month late?" Xiao Wenlin questioned. "I had an issue with my contact and had to lie low for a month before I dared to show up."
How about you?
"Not so good." Xiao Wenlin explained his current situation, mentioning Master Zhao's disappearance. He was on edge every day, afraid to contact another accomplice or use the radio, with a pile of intelligence he couldn't send out. "Old Zhao is tight-lipped and hasn't revealed anyone. You don't need to worry," Jia Qing reassured him. "That's good." Xiao Wenlin felt completely relieved. They chatted for a while before leaving the bamboo grove and heading back to the dormitory together. After they left, Tang Nian came out of the bamboo grove, acting as if nothing had happened, and returned to the dormitory. In the following days, nothing unusual happened at the base. Everyone worked as usual. However, one day, a worker in the workshop went missing, and the workshop director said he had been transferred. No one paid much attention. The worker was inconspicuous and quiet, like an invisible person in the base, making no difference whether he was there or not. But Xiao Wenlin panicked. He approached Jia Qing, saying something must have happened. He wouldn't just disappear without reason. He must have been captured. He didn't even say goodbye, just like Master Zhao before him. He was sure he would be next.
Calm down.
Unfortunately, I can't act recklessly right now. I've gained Zhang Gong's trust, and am about to get the most critical secrets. I can't act carelessly. Do you have any allies? Have them gather information. Jia Qing calmed Xiao Wenlin and urged him to find help. There are only 4 of us in the base, and now it's just the 2 of us. Where can I find help? Xiao Wenlin said self-deprecatingly, feeling pessimistic. He could see his own fate. He couldn't just sit and wait. He had to find a way to escape. Then I'll find a way. Wait for my news. Hurry. Xiao Wenlin didn't fully trust Jia Qing. He felt something was off about her, especially since the worker went missing after she arrived. It felt like an ominous sign. He felt a chill and decided not to wait for Jia Qing. He had to find a way to escape first. Xiao Wenlin hurried back to the office, appearing calm on the surface, but inside he was anxious. He was waiting for nightfall. Once it was dark, he could act. He had not wasted his time at the base for the past 6 months. There was a hole in the southern wall he could crawl through, and the defenses there were weak. As long as he got out of the base, he would find a way to leave. Jia Qing reported to her superiors that they could move in for the capture. The worker left the base with information and contacted his companions, but as soon as they met, he was caught. After a brutal interrogation by Xin Xiao, all the hidden bugs in the provincial city were captured, except for Xiao Wenlin. All afternoon, Xiao Wenlin was restless. He had made several mistakes in the data calculations. Ni Junlon came to check the data with him, found the errors, and wouldn't let it go, lecturing him about his lack of seriousness at work. "Comrade Xia, your careless and irresponsible work attitude is unacceptable. If everyone worked like you, how could we get anything done? Did you hear what I said?" Ni Junlon was upset because Xiao Wenlin was distracted and didn't listen to her, which she felt was disrespectful. "I heard you, I'll recalculate." Xiao Wenlin wasn't in the mood to argue. He just wanted it to be dark outside. Ni Junlon hit the cotton with her fist in frustration, huffed angrily, and left. "Representative Liao is here. Is there something you need?" The door opened, and Representative Liao walked in, smiling and friendly as he spoke to everyone. "I'm looking for Comrade Xiao Wenlin. I have some work-related matters to discuss." Representative Liao walked over to Xiao Wenlin at a leisurely pace, his smile as usual, but Xiao Wenlin felt a wave of panic. His instincts told him that Representative Liao wasn't here to discuss work. "Comrade Xie, shall we talk outside?" Representative Liao asked kindly. Xin Xiao was outside, and if Xiao Wenlin stepped out, he would be caught. "Okay." Xiao Wenlin slowly stood up, carefully putting the cap back on his pen and organizing his draft paper, acting as if everything was normal. He followed Representative Liao toward the door, a distance of about 10 meters. Soon, they would reach it, but Xiao Wenlin felt sweat on his forehead. His anxiety deepened, and he suddenly realized that Jia Qing was not in the office. When did she disappear? Xiao Wenlin's heart sank. Jia Qing had been there in the morning, but now she was gone. She was either exposed or an undercover agent. No matter which it was, he was in danger. He couldn't go through that door. Going out meant death. Xiao Wenlin looked around. The office was filled with men, and Ni Junlon had gone to the data room. Unfortunately, he should have acted sooner. Just as he was about to attack a weak-looking man nearby, the door swung open, and Tang Nian walked in to submit her calculations. Xiao Wenlin's eyes lit up. Supporting a female comrade was a better bet, and Tang Nian was the base's prized possession. If he could get her on his side, the base would hesitate to act against him. With Tang Nian, he would have a shield and could surely escape. Tang Nian saw Representative Liao, nodded at him, and continued walking in, heading straight for Xiao Wenlin. Representative Liao and Xiao Wenlin moved almost in sync. He opened his mouth to stop Tang Nian from entering, while Xiao Wenlin quickly seized her by the neck and pressed a knife against her. "Xiao Wenlin, are you crazy? Let her go." Everyone was shocked at first, then furious, angrily scolding Xiao Wenlin. They still didn't know Xiao Wenlin's true identity and thought he had a personal grudge against Tang Nian or was jealous of her achievements, losing his mind and acting crazily. "Let me go, prepare a car for me, 2 big jugs of gasoline, and don't try any tricks, or I'll kill her." Xiao Wenlin's handsome face twisted into a sneer, his gaze cold. He usually appeared gentle, but now he seemed like a different person. Everyone stared at him in disbelief, wondering if he had gone mad. "We can meet your demands, but first let Tang Nian go. I'll take her place." Representative Liao didn't dare provoke Xiao Wenlin. He couldn't let anything happen to Tang Nian. "She's worth more than you. Do as I say, and have it ready in 10 minutes. If you're late by even a minute, I'll kill her. We'll die together if it comes to that." Xiao Wenlin threatened, pressing the knife closer. Outside, Xin Xiao had already raised his gun, ready to shoot. Tang Nian coldly said, "You're pressing the knife against my neck. Don't talk." Xiao Wenlin threatened fiercely, revealing his true nature. Everyone was stunned. They hadn't realized a wolf was hiding among them. They had even considered introducing Xiao Wenlin to someone. Representative Liao ordered someone to prepare what Xiao Wenlin wanted, not daring to say anything else for fear of provoking the madman.
Tang Nian sai.
She really didn't want to see blood before her wedding, but this jerk was forcing her. What a mess. A piercing scream echoed. It was Xiao Wenlin. Everyone blinked, and before they could comprehend what happened, they saw Xiao Wenlin lying on the ground, his head tilted, eyes wide open, lifeless. Tang Nian stood unharmed beside him, her expression indifferent. Representative Liao reacted quickly, rushing over to check Xiao Wenlin's condition. His neck was broken, he was dead. He looked at Tang Nian in shock, unsure what to ask. Her earlier move had been so smooth and impressive that he couldn't have done it himself. No wonder she wasn't scared when kidnapped. He had thought she was just stunned, but she truly wasn't afraid. "You all work so slowly," Tang Nian complained, irritated that it took so long to deal with him. "Sorry." Representative Liao sincerely apologized. If he had known Tang Nian was so skilled, he wouldn't have wasted time. Tang Nian turned around and saw everyone with the same shocked expression, mouths agape, eyes wide, all staring at her. Old Zhang's jaw nearly dropped. He had thought Nian was just good at hunting, but it turned out she was even better at killing. With a slight twist of her neck, a life was gone. faster than slaughtering a pig. The door opened and Xin Xiao walked in, kicking Xia Wenlin's body on the ground. There was a crack as his spine broke. Representative Liao's mouth twitched. This couple truly was a perfect match, both ruthless. Even in death, they wouldn't let go. They were quite something. What are you doing here? Tang Niannian's cold expression melted into joy. If there weren't others around, she would have jumped into Xin Zhao's arms. I'm here to take you to get your marriage certificate, Xin Zhao said with a hint of melancholy. If he hadn't come, Nian would probably have forgotten such an important matter. Tang Nian's smile turned sheepish. She had indeed forgotten in the busyness. Shall we go tomorrow? She quickly suggested. Old Zhang approached and said, Little Tang, you should take a break. The office isn't so busy lately. Actually, it was still busy, but they couldn't let Nian's marriage be affected. Plus, progress had picked up, so even if she took a month off, it wouldn't matter much. Little Tang, you're getting married? We can't drink the wedding wine, but we want the wedding candy. Everyone snapped back to reality, surrounding her for candy. They glanced at Xin Xiao and quickly looked away, not daring to stare. Little Tang's partner looked a bit intimidating, but they seemed well-matched. Both of them were cool and aloof, a perfect pair. The next day, Tang Nian and Xin Xiao left the base to get married. First, they went to get their marriage certificate. Tang Nian had already moved her household registration from Tang Village to the factory, where she had an independent household book that she usually kept in her space. Xin Zhao's household book was with her too. They called Tang Village to inform Grandma Tang to prepare the banquet. When are you coming back? Grandma Tang shouted into the phone. She always had to yell, afraid the person on the other end couldn't hear her. When you're ready for the banquet, I'll come back. Tang Nian pulled the receiver away a bit. Her grandma had quite a strong voice. I'll prepare the banquet when you come back. When I come back, can you really prepare the banquet? Tang Nian retorted. Organizing a banquet wasn't that easy. There was silence on the other end. Grandma Tang realized she couldn't prepare it right away. It would take at least 3 days. Come back in 3 days.
Got it.
Tang Nian yelled back, shaking Grandma Tang's eardrum, making her quickly pull the receiver away and shout, Why are you yelling so loud? I'm not deaf. I can hear you. I'm not deaf either. I can hear you. Tang Nian continued to shout, neither of them backing down. Xin Xiao stood nearby, smiling. His Nian was truly adorable. The two of them shouted back and forth on the phone, making the people at the post office cover their ears. A man in a nearby phone booth was also shouting loudly, determined not to lose in the shouting match. Don't forget to bring Xiao Shen back. Grandma Tang yelled her reminder. The groom couldn't be missing.
Got it.
After hanging up, Tang Nian coughed a few times. Her throat felt a bit dry and uncomfortable. A glass of iced soda was handed to her, still bubbling, with a straw inserted. Xin Xiao had just bought it. Tang Nian took it and drank it all in one go. Her throat felt much better. Meanwhile, Grandma Tang rushed home after the call, gulped down a big glass of cool tea, wiped her mouth, and energetically went to find her 3 sons and the team leader. Tang Nian and Xin Xiao went to get their marriage certificate. Now, the marriage certificate was just a piece of paper, similar to a good student award, without needing a photo, just the names of both spouses and a stamp. They looked at the bright red certificate and smiled at each other. It's 3 days until the banquet. Where should we go? Tang Nian asked. To the guest house. Xin Xiao didn't want to go anywhere else. Now that he and Nian were a legal couple, they could do some things together. Tang Nian didn't object. They found a nearby guest house, and when registering, Xin Xiao took out the marriage certificate and said loudly, "Book a room." The attendant glanced at the marriage certificate. The stamp was still fresh, and the couple seemed a bit too eager. But she understood. They were newlyweds, after all. Congratulations to you both on your long-lasting happiness and early arrival of children.
Thank you.
They replied with smiles. After registering, they went to their room on the 2nd floor. As soon as they opened the door, they saw a big bed, and Shun Zhao's dark face flushed with heat, his heart racing. 2 beds combined into one. Cuddling with my lovely wife for a beautiful sleep. That's what it's all about. The old soldier's crude words echoed in his ears, making his heart race even faster. He couldn't help but call out, "Nian Nian." Yes. Tang Nian Nian looked up, wondering what was going on. We got our certificate.
Aha.
We're now husband and wife.
Right.
Nian Nian, should we sleep now? After saying this, Shen Zhao's face grew even hotter, his eyes filled with anticipation. Tang Nian Nian looked out the window. The sun was still high in the sky. They were about to indulge in their desires in broad daylight. How wonderful. Let's sleep. Tang Nian Nian had no objections. If Xin Xiao hadn't insisted on getting the certificate, she would have already taken him. They entered the space and lay down on the luxurious bed that Xin Xiao had crafted himself. Then, Xin Xiao got shy. He had waited so long for this moment, but now he felt nervous and restrained. Tang Nian Nian secretly found it amusing. She rolled over and pressed herself on him, taking the initiative to kiss him. There was no need for words, they just needed to act. "Nian Nian, I should be on top. Are you uncomfortable?" "I'm comfortable, but I should be on top." Xin Xiao was very insistent because the old soldier had said that men should be on top. "Next time, you can be on top." No more talking. Tang Nian Nian was a bit impatient and covered his mouth. What was there to argue about being on top or bottom? They could switch it up. The two of them spent 2 days in the space. Tang Nian Nian barely touched the ground. Xin Xiao cooked for her and carried her to bathe. Other than eating, bathing, and sleeping, they spent the rest of their time working. Finally, Tang Nian Nian couldn't take it anymore and called for a stop. Although it was quite wonderful, doing it every day wasn't as enjoyable. Even the production team's oxen didn't work this hard. Xin Xiao could have continued, but he was worried about tiring her out, so he obediently stopped. After they finished bathing and got dressed, Bai Sui ran over to report new developments. Woof. There's a new mountain over there. It had appeared 2 days ago, but since the master and his man were busy, it didn't bother to come over and make a fool of itself. Xin Xiao rode his motorcycle, taking Tang Nian Nian to the original edge of the space. Sure enough, the transparent barrier was gone, and a majestic green mountain had appeared, with rolling hills that seemed endless. At the foot of the mountain was a lake, with grassland nearby where cows, sheep, and horses grazed leisurely. The mountain was quite high, with different forests at the foot and halfway up, while the peak had a cold climate with snow lotus flowers. This mountain encompassed several climates, with a rich variety of vegetation and many herbs. What surprised Tang Nian Nian the most was that on the other side of the mountain, there were several bare peaks, and from one of the rocks, a faint golden light shone through, clearly indicating a rich gold mine. Although she didn't know what the other minerals were, they surely wouldn't be bad. Tang Nian Nian couldn't close her mouth. She would be a wealthy woman with a mine in the future. "I should have slept with you earlier," Tang Nian Nian said regretfully. If she had known that sleeping with Xin Xiao would lead to such a big surprise, she would have done it much sooner, instead of waiting until now. Shen Zhao's face flushed, and he took her hand to continue exploring. Although the mountains were rolling, they still had an end, blocked by a transparent barrier with swirling white mist, making it impossible to see what was on the other side. How do we break this barrier? Tang Nian Nian wondered. Did she need to sleep with more men? That was something she couldn't do. What a pity. Tang Nian Nian felt quite regretful. There must be treasures behind that barrier, but she couldn't bring herself to be with other men. Forget it. Maybe if we sleep a few more times, we can break it? Xin Xiao had a different idea. He thought they just weren't trying hard enough. Tang Nian Nian felt he had a point, so they went back to continue their efforts. A night of passion followed. Tang Nian Nian felt like her waist was about to break, but she still excitedly pulled Xin Xiao to see the barrier, only to find that nothing had changed. Not enough times? Xin Xiao thought seriously about it and felt that this might be the reason. Then he rolled his eyes at Bai Tang Nian Nian. Let's go home and prepare for the banquet. Tang Nian Nian didn't care anymore. If she slept any longer, she'd be exhausted. Even if there was a diamond mine, she wouldn't sleep. The two went to pick up Fu Qinghan, For such a big event as a wedding, he had to be there. By the time they drove back to Tang Village, it was already evening. At that moment, Grandma Tang was anxiously pacing. The banquet was set for the next day. Guests had been notified, but her granddaughter and Xiao Xin were nowhere to be found. What would they do tomorrow? Mom, if Nian Nian can't make it back tomorrow, let the guests eat without her. Tang Man Tong suggested. Eat what? The bride isn't here yet. Grandma Tang scolded, her temper flaring. She drank a cup of cold tea to cool down. Tang Manning glanced at his younger brother and came up with a bad idea. Mom, let's have Man Tong get married. Grandma Tang's eyes lit up. Right, they had a groom. They just needed a bride. That girl the matchmaker introduced last time was nice. You go find the matchmaker now. Visit the girl's home, and after the banquet tomorrow, go to the commune to get the marriage certificate. Grandma Tang didn't hesitate long, even thinking it was fate. Her younger son had been dragging his feet about marriage, so why not let him get married tomorrow? The girl was a teacher at the commune's elementary school, beautiful and capable. Grandma Tang thought she was a good match for her younger son. No way, I won't agree. Why should I marry her? I don't like that teacher. Tang Man Tong protested, having met the teacher once. They didn't click, and while she was nice, he just didn't like her. Marriage should be about mutual affection. How could they live together without feelings? That girl is pretty and kind, and she can manage both home and work. What's not to like? I think you're dreaming of marrying a fairy. Grandma Tang's anger flared up, and she grabbed a feather duster to hit him. She was very satisfied with the teacher, but this brat was going against her, which made her furious. Tang Man Tong covered his head and ran away, while Grandma Tang chased him with a feather duster. Tang Man quickly pulled his younger brother away and gently patted him, saying, "Don't be afraid, your grandma and uncle are just playing around." His son's full name was Tang Huachong, but his nickname was Tang Tuan. Before Tang Tuan was born, Tang Manyan's wife had eaten a big bowl of vegetable dumplings, and right after that, she went into labor, delivering a healthy baby boy weighing 7.5 pounds. Tang Man decided to give his son the nickname Tang Tuan, while his full name remained Huachong. The chubby little Tang Tuan's eyes were wide and round, not scared at all, and he was grinning, waving his chubby hands, making sounds of excitement. Another childish voice came from inside the house. It was Tang Tuan's older brother, Ro Zong, who was half a month older and so chubby he didn't even have a chin. He had just woken up and was being carried out by Su Jinfeng to use the toilet. Hearing his brother's calls, Ro Zong happily jumped in Su Jinfeng's arms, full of energy. Su Jinfeng almost couldn't hold him and lightly patted his bottom, saying, "Be careful, or you'll fall and cry." Ro Zong jumped even more joyfully, his mouth wide open, with a few drops of drool running down his chin, and landing on his bib. Grandma Tang and Tang Man Tong were still chasing each other when Su Jinfeng went to the yard to help Ro Zong. Unable to resist, she advised, "Third son, that teacher is beautiful, skilled, and kind. Plus, her father is the production team leader. She's outstanding in the area. Why aren't you satisfied?" The teacher was from Su Jinfeng's home village, the daughter of the production team leader and a qualified teacher. Her conditions were top-notch in the countryside. If the Tang family hadn't improved so much, she wouldn't even be considered for Tang Man Tong. She's good in every way, but I just don't like her.
Ouch.
Mom, be gentler. Tang Man Tong paused while speaking and got hit by Grandma Tang, yelping in pain. Good in every way, and you still don't like her? I think you're dreaming. If your father were here, he would break your legs. Grandma Tang was furious, swinging the feather duster like crazy. Tang Man Tong decided to stop dodging, curling up in a corner and loudly protesting, "Just because she's good doesn't mean I have to marry her. Marriage should be about mutual feelings. How can I live with someone I don't love? You'll develop feelings as you go along. Your father and I didn't have feelings before we got married, but we still lived together for a lifetime and had you ungrateful brat." Grandma Tang didn't understand what mutual feelings meant. She only knew that once married, they should live seriously and not daydream about unrealistic things. She even missed arranged marriages a bit. If it weren't for the current policies, she would definitely arrange her younger son's marriage. They would already have 3 grandchildren by now. Mom, think about it. There will be arguments in marriage. If I marry someone I like, I can overlook things during a fight. But if it's someone I don't like, I won't be able to tolerate it.
How will we live then?
Tang Man Tong explained seriously, expressing his true feelings. He just wanted to marry someone he loved. That wasn't too much to ask. Life will go on as it should. You don't want to go out and fool around, do you? Tang Man Tong didn't respond. He was rubbing his sore spots, which hurt a lot. You really want to fool around? I'll beat you, Chen Mei. Not responding was seen as an admission, and Grandma Tang got even angrier. The feather duster came down again, raining down on Tang Man Tong as he screamed and ran outside. No one is as wronged as I am. I didn't say anything, yet you've condemned me.
Ouch.
If you were a judge, it would snow every day. Tang Man Tong jumped and yelled, occasionally hopping because the feather duster hit his foot. Just as Tang Nian Nian entered the yard, she bumped into her screaming uncle, with a furious Grandma Tang chasing behind. Mom, Nian Nian is back. Tang Man Tong felt like he had been granted a pardon and pulled Tang Nian Nian in front of Grandma Tang. Grandma Tang quickly put away the feather duster, her fierce expression softening into a loving smile as she said, I'll go cook noodles for you. Grandma, make a few more eggs. Tang Nian Nian was indeed hungry. She had been too busy with Xin Xiao these past few days to eat properly. Grandma Tang boiled a big pot of noodles and fried 10 eggs, 5 for Xin Xiao, 3 for her granddaughter, and 2 for Fu Qinghan. Since being treated by Ling Quan, his health had improved, and he had a better appetite, gaining some weight, though he still looked quite lovable. Fu Qinghan was eating noodles slowly, while Xin Xiao and Tang Nian Nian were gobbling theirs down. Grandma Tang couldn't help but scold. Eat slower. No one is competing with you. Tang Nian Nian didn't even look up. She was starving. After finishing the noodles, Grandma Tang didn't ask many questions and told Tang Nian Nian to go to bed early since they would be busy the next day and needed to be well rested. Xin Xiao and Fu Qinghan went to sleep at the captain's house. Tang Nian Nian slept soundly until dawn, feeling energetic enough to take on an elephant. Outside, there was a lot of noise, and the smell of various dishes wafted into the house, making her mouth water. According to the customs of Tang Village, the bride wakes up early to get ready. The bride's family hosts a banquet at noon, the groom picks up the bride in the afternoon, and the groom's family hosts another banquet at night. Since there was no one left in Xinjiao's family, Grandma Tang decided to hold the wedding banquet in the evening and invite the whole village for lunch, as they had plenty of food. Lunch is about to start. Even though it's just villagers, you and Xiao Xin need to go toast. You have to show respect. Grandma Tang timed it perfectly and went to wake her granddaughter at 10 o'clock, allowing an hour for washing up and getting ready. Okay. Tang Nian Nian jumped up like a fish, startling Grandma Tang, who couldn't help but pat her and scold. You're married now. Act more mature. You need to set a good example for your future kids. If you don't behave, I'll spank you. Tang Nian Nian huffed and playfully swatted back, determined to keep going until she was satisfied. She had no patience for coaxing children. But you can't spank every day. You need to reason with them. All right, hurry up. Hearing someone call from outside, Grandma Tang hurried out, planning to talk to her granddaughter later. You can't just spank kids. Tang Nian Nian pouted. Grandma only talked a good game. She had received plenty of spankings from her when she was younger. Plus, she wasn't thinking about having kids anytime soon, at least not until after college. After getting ready, Tang Nian Nian put on the red cotton jacket that Grandma Tang had made. In Tang Village, brides wear red jackets on their wedding day, symbolizing a prosperous and happy married life. She did a simple makeup with eyebrow pencil and lip color, looking radiant and lively. The groom is here to pick up the bride. May you have many children. Wishing you 100 years of harmony. Bring out the wedding candy. A group of children followed Xin Xiao, joyfully shouting. Tang Jianshu and Tang Jiangwo each had a bag of wedding candy, handing it out along the way, filling every child's pockets. Xin Shao, dressed in military uniform, looked sharp and handsome. His usually cold expression softened with smiles, making him seem approachable. Villagers who used to be shy around him now joked freely, even daring to share risque jokes. Xin Shao listened with a big smile, eagerly anticipating the evening's festivities. The guests at the lunch banquet were all villagers, with each family sending someone to join. Many even volunteered to help with tasks like washing, cutting, and cooking, totaling about 20 helpers. Tang Nian and Xin Shao went table to table to toast, and no one dared to cause trouble, knowing the couple's reputation. According to current customs, a banquet typically has 8 dishes, but the Tang family arranged 12, for cold dishes and 8 hot ones, including chicken, duck, and fish. Any leftover food was sent home with guests, while fresh dishes would be prepared for the evening. For this banquet, Grandma Tang raised 2 pigs, all for today, wanting to send her granddaughter off in style. The evening banquet was even livelier, with 40 tables set up. Besides villagers, guests from neighboring villages attended, including community officials and factory directors. Even the county head, Xiong Chu, sent his contribution via a driver. The factory directors drove over, their business thriving, and they had upgraded their vehicles. Several cars were parked at the village entrance, which the villagers had grown accustomed to, but outsiders were impressed and no longer underestimated Tang Village. The wedding feast continued into the night, with everyone enjoying themselves. After the guests left, Xin Shao and Tang Nian moved into the wedding room, which was actually Tang Nian's room, decorated with bright red bedding and festive decorations. That night, they didn't do much. Xin Shao wanted to, but Tang Nian kicked him away, exhausted and needing to catch up on sleep. With his energy nowhere to go, Xin Shao decided to work in the space. After they slept, the space expanded and a new benefit emerged. Xin Shao could share the space. Even if he was far away, he could enter the space freely and meet Tang Nian there. He could take things from the space anytime and also put things into it. This new feature pleased them both, as it meant Tang Nian wouldn't have to travel to the neighboring country to collect jade. Whenever Xin Shao went on a mission there, he could easily bring back jade. The next day, Fu Qinghan returned to work in Shanghai. He gifted them half of the family fortune as a wedding present, insisting they accept it. Tang Nian had no choice but to take it, planning to figure out how to return it later. During this time, she sent a lot of coffee. The coffee trees in the space bore excellent quality beans that also had health benefits. Ever since Fu Qinghan started drinking the coffee Tang Nian sent, he couldn't drink anything else and needed several cups daily, feeling more energetic each time. Tang Nian and Xin Shao stayed in Tang Village for 3 days until they received a call from Representative Liao, telling them to prepare for a mission in Hong Kong. You are going there as traders. Unless absolutely necessary, you cannot contact our people there. But don't worry, our people will protect you from the shadows. Can we act independently in Hong Kong? Tang Nian asked. She didn't want to be restricted by orders once she got there. That would be boring. As long as you don't violate national principles, you can act flexibly, Representative Liao replied vaguely. After a moment, he added, just try not to make too much noise. Don't worry, I'm very careful. Tang Nian assured him, as she never took risks without confidence. However, Representative Liao was skeptical, knowing she had taken down Xia Wenlin with one move. But with the experienced Xin Shao around, he hoped he could keep her in check. They were set to leave the next day, allowing them one more night in Tang Village. Tang Nian didn't tell her family about going to Hong Kong, just saying she would be on a business trip to the south for about a month. You haven't even finished your wedding leave, and now you're going on a business trip. Your boss really knows how to keep you working. Grandma Tang grumbled, feeling reluctant. She knew her granddaughter would spend less and less time at home in the future.
Sigh.
Grandma, I'm going to earn you a gold bracelet. Tang Nian whispered to the old lady. On this trip home, she gave her grandmother another heavy gold bracelet. Counting them up, her grandma must have at least 10 now, enough to fill one arm. What do I need so many bracelets for? I'll make you something to eat. What do you want, dear? Although Grandma Tang was reluctant, She knew she couldn't hold her granddaughter back, so she decided to prepare a nice meal for her. Tang Nen actually had something in mind that she wanted to eat, something she hadn't had in a long time. After thinking, she asked, "Can you make anything I want?" "Yes."
Tang answered eagerly.
Since her granddaughter was leaving, it was a good idea to make a special meal. Tang Nian smiled and said, "I want to eat acorn tofu." Grandma Tang twitched her mouth, wishing she could take back her previous words. That troublesome girl picked the most complicated dish. Don't you want steamed pork with pickled vegetables? Or braised pork? What about pig trotter? Grandma Tang suggested some of her granddaughter's favorite hearty dishes, which were much simpler than acorn tofu. "No, I just want acorn tofu." "Grandma, you won't go back on your word, will you?" Tang Nian challenged her, and Grandma Tang gritted her teeth, glaring fiercely, and went to prepare the acorn tofu. Acorn tofu is a refreshing summer dish made from the fruit of the oak tree. The fruit is rich in starch, which is processed into acorn flour. When mixed with water and boiled, it becomes a paste that is cooled and cut into small pieces, then served with sugar, vinegar, and mint for a delicious summer snack. However, the process of making acorn flour is tedious and time-consuming, so few people make it nowadays. Fortunately, Tang Nian is a foodie. Last autumn, when the acorn fruit ripened, she had her friend Jiojin and others gather a lot of them, dried them, and stored them for summer. Grandma Tang didn't use her own acorns because extracting acorn starch takes too long. She borrowed some acorn starch from the village leader's house. Huang Zhaodi is a diligent person who makes this every year and has plenty stored. With the starch ready, it didn't take long to prepare. Grandma Tang also stewed a big pig trotter, made steamed pork with flour, and steamed pork with pickled vegetables. The delicious aroma filled the Tang household, making everyone's mouths water. The acorn tofu was the first to be ready. Tang Nian had already picked some mint, squeezed out a few drops of juice, added sugar and vinegar, making it chewy and refreshing, perfect for summer. That night, when Tang Jiujin came home from school, she also got to eat acorn tofu and was very happy. But when she learned that her beloved second sister was leaving the next day, the little girl immediately became unhappy, pouting and unable to eat. "Second sister, are you going to live with brother-in-law and not come home anymore?" Tang Nian quietly asked, looking at her with big, shiny eyes like a puppy, making people feel soft-hearted. "Of course, but if you skip school again, I'll spank you." Tang Nian playfully tapped the little girl's head. "I didn't skip school. I go every day." Jiojin quickly cheered up and happily ate the acorn tofu, scooping a big spoonful and swallowing it all at once, her eyes squinting in delight, her chubby little face trembling adorably. At 8 years old, Jiojin had grown a lot, but her cheeks were still chubby, and she was getting stronger. Even the older boys at school couldn't beat her. They ran away when they saw her. The Tang family's dinner was unusually lavish. Steamed pork, braised pork, stewed pig trotter, and precious bamboo shoots stir-fried with shredded meat, plus bamboo shoot meatball soup. At this time of year, other bamboo shoots were gone, leaving only the rare bamboo shoots, which were tender only at the tip. You had to throw away most of it and only eat a little. But bamboo shoots are the most delicious of all. Tender bamboo shoots stir-fried with meat, and old bamboo shoots boiled in soup create a flavor that is hard to beat, a rare summer delicacy. After dinner, Grandma Tang called Tang Nian into the room and took out a bundle of money wrapped in cloth. Inside was a thick stack of bills along with some smaller notes. "Your parents left you 2,000 for living expenses, and you haven't spent it all. There's still 1,000 left. This is what you've given me over time, adding up to more than 2,000. Take this 3,000 as your dowry from Grandma." Grandma Tang counted out 3,000 and insisted on giving it to Tang Nian. The remaining money was enough to marry off her youngest son. "I don't need it. I can't even spend my own money. You keep it for yourself." Tang Nian pushed it back. She had over 1 million in cash now, having received over 60,000 from the Zhou and Xin families, plus what she earned over the past 2 years. She also bought 6 Western-style houses in Hu City and 3 courtyard houses in the capital, all through Xinjiao's connections, costing several thousand. Otherwise, she would have even more cash. She couldn't spend all this money, so she planned to buy more property in Hong Kong, just needing to set up a temporary account. Things were chaotic there, but as long as you have money, you can get anything done. What's yours is yours.
Take it.
Grandma Tang stubbornly insisted on giving it to her. This money was meant for Nian Nian. She was just helping to keep it safe. Okay, I'll take it. Tang Nian couldn't argue with her and accepted it. Grandma Tang finally smiled, and Tang Nian quickly ran out, then quickly came back with a shiny gold necklace and a big gold pendant. Grandma, wear this around your neck from now on. Tang Nian put the necklace around Grandma's neck. It fit perfectly, not too big or too small, making Grandma look much more elegant. This necklace is so heavy. My head is going to fall off. Grandma Tang took off the necklace, which felt very heavy, at least a pound. I'll keep it for you. Grandma Tang smiled, her eyes sparkling. She loved gold. Its color and weight made her feel like she could eat 3 bowls of rice just looking at it. Why are you still here? Grandma Tang wanted to hide the gold necklace. When she turned around, she saw Tang Nian still in the room, so she urged her to leave. Tang Nian twitched her mouth. Love really can fade away. Just a moment ago, she was the beloved granddaughter. She obediently stepped outside and kindly closed the door. She knew exactly where Grandma hid her treasures, inside the wall hole under the bed. She also knew where her uncle and Jiojin hid their money, as well as her second uncle's hiding place. The Tang family all hid their money the same way, in wall holes under the bed. They never thought to change their hiding spots. At that moment, Tang Mantong and Tang Jiojin were digging in their own wall hole under the bed. Tomorrow, their niece, second sister, was leaving, so they needed to prepare more money. Jiojin didn't know what a dowry was. She just saw her second uncle wrapping a red envelope for her sister. Then her dad did the same, and her uncle went to get money too. The little girl couldn't sit still and wanted to prepare a big red envelope for her beloved sister. After all, she had saved quite a bit of money over the past 2 years, and her little stash was getting thick. Tang Mantong and Jiojin's rooms were next to each other, with their beds against the wall. They were lying under the bed, opening the wall hole, reaching in to dig. One big hand on the left, one small hand on the right, digging away in the little wall hole. Hey, it was right here last time. Where did it go? Tang Mantong searched for a long time, but found nothing, muttering to himself. He didn't know that after he put the money there last time, Jiojin also came to hide money and accidentally moved his bag. After all, their hiding spots were connected. After searching on the left for a long time without success, Tang Mantong switched to the right. Along the way, he bumped into something soft and meaty, which startled him. He quickly grabbed the cloth bag and pulled it out. He then discovered he was holding 2 cloth bags, one small and one large. The large one was his, but he didn't know who the small one belonged to. It could have been his from before, which he had forgotten about. Tang Mantong happily opened the small cloth bag. Inside were coins, 1 cent, 2 cent, and 5 cent pieces. To his surprise, there were more than 20 coins. He remembered having trouble finding hidden money before. Back then, he didn't have much money, and he hid mostly 1 cent coins, hoping to save up for adventures. But he couldn't find them and was sad for a long time. He never expected to find them in the wall hole. What a pleasant surprise. Tang Mantong smiled widely, counting out 20 big coins to wrap in a red envelope for Nian later. He put the rest of the money back in the cloth bag and decided to find another hiding spot since this one had mice and wasn't safe. He thought the soft thing he had bumped into was a mouse and worried about his money being chewed. In the next room, Tang Jiojin had been digging in a small wall hole for a long time, switching from her left paw to her right. Both paws were covered in dust, and her face was dirty. She was sweating and looked like a mess. Where did it go? I clearly put it here. Why can't I find it? Jiojin was on the verge of tears. She had saved for a year and didn't want to spend it, and now it was all gone. She still needed to give her second sister a red envelope, but now she had nothing. I'll get a cat later. We have mice. I just touched a big one, and it was so fat. It must have stolen a lot of food. Tang Montong's voice came from outside. Jiu Jin listened carefully and immediately thought of the soft thing she had just touched. It must have been a big mouse. Her money must have been stolen by that big mouse. Wah! Jiu Jin couldn't handle the blow anymore. She sat down under the bed and cried loudly, tears streaming down her face, making her look even messier. Her crying attracted everyone, and they rushed in to find her. They only heard her sobs and couldn't see her. After searching around, they finally found her under the bed. Why are you crying under there?
Come out.
Su Jinfeng was both amused and worried. She bent down to pull her out, but Jiu Jin ignored her, crying uncontrollably. She hadn't cried this much even when she was beaten up by Tang Manjin at school. Are you feeling unwell? Come out so I can check on you. Su Jinfeng was worried that the girl was sick. She couldn't crawl in, so she reached out but couldn't touch her. My money is gone, Wu. The big mouse took it. It was so big.
Wu.
Jiu Jin cried while wiping her tears, making her face even dirtier. Su Jinfeng couldn't help but feel that this messy child was too much. What money is gone? Where did you get money, little girl? Tang Laotai caught on to the main point. The pocket money she usually gave Jiu Jin was at most a few cents, and the girl had probably spent it all on candy. My second sister gave it to me.
Wu.
It's all gone. The bad mouse took it. Jiu Jin was heartbroken. She was the only one in the family who hadn't given her second sister a red envelope. That bad mouse was too cruel. She would kill every mouse she saw from now on. Tang Laotai glared at Tang Nian. Seeing her granddaughter so sad, it was clear she had saved quite a bit of money. They couldn't let the girl develop a habit of spending freely. She would have to tell Nian not to give Jiu Jin any more money. A child only needed a few cents. When they grew up, they should earn their own money and spend what they earned, not spend more than they had. The Tang family couldn't have a wasteful child. Tang Mantong crawled under the bed to pull her out and then saw the small wall hole. Comparing its position, he fell silent. A twinge of guilt washed over him, especially when he saw his niece's heartbroken face, and his guilt grew. But he couldn't admit he was the mouse. If his mother found out he had saved money, she would definitely force him to hand it over.
Wu.
I want to give my second sister a red envelope, but it's gone. The red envelope is gone. Jiu Jin was pulled out from under the bed, her face dirtier than a calico cat, still crying. Tang Nian, who had been amused, felt moved by Jiu Jin's words and a bit guilty. How could she laugh at Jiu Jin? The girl wanted to give her a red envelope. That was so wrong. Feeling guilty, Tang Nian randomly pulled out some money from her pocket without looking and stuffed it into Jiu Jin's hands. Red envelopes are for adults to give to kids. You don't need to give one. This is from your second sister. Jiu Jin sniffled and accepted the money, counting it slowly 1, 2, 3, 4. They were all big coins, at least 10 of them. Tang Laotai's eyes widened, and she rushed over to snatch it back, shoving it into Tang Nian's hands, yelling, "Why are you giving a child so much money? No more of this in the future. At most, give a few cents." She couldn't let her daughter develop a habit of spending freely. That would be a problem later. Tang Nian shrank back, not daring to argue with her grandmother, and obediently took the money back. Jiu Jin looked at her empty hands, and the sadness that had just begun to heal immediately returned, tears streaming down her face. This time, she had even more money, but it had only been in her hands for a few seconds, and it was gone.
Wu.
Su Jinfeng poked her forehead hard, scolding, "You had money and didn't turn it in? Why does a child need to hide so much money? Now look, it's all gone because of the mouse." Jiu Jin gritted her teeth, her hatred for the mouse reaching its peak. "From now on, all money must be turned in. If you dare to hide money again, I'll have your father spank you." Su Jinfeng warned fiercely, feeling heartbroken. Her little daughter had saved at least 10 coins. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so sad.
Oh, dear.
What a waste. Jiu Jin pouted, and the tears that had just stopped flowed out again. She mourned for her past and future money.
Woo.
That night, while everyone was asleep, Tang Mantong quietly put his niece's small wallet back in the hole, even pushing it into the corner. The next morning, he called Jiao Jin to whisper, "Go dig in the hole again. Your uncle used to dig there. You need to dig around everywhere." "I already dug, but the mouse took it away." Tang Jiao Jin gestured with her hands, indicating the mouse was as big as a basin. Tang Mantong twitched his lips. Is his hand that big? This girl is hopelessly foolish. Be persistent in your work. Go dig again. After Tang Mantong's repeated persuasion, promising to buy her a month's worth of popsicles, Jiao Jin reluctantly crawled back under the bed, reaching into the hole and digging around as her uncle instructed, checking in all directions. Then she felt a soft cloth bag, a sensation too familiar to ignore. Jiao Jin's eyes lit up, brighter than the sun in the sky. She quickly pulled out the bag, joyfully opened it, and crouched under the bed to count the money. After counting 3 times, it seemed like there was even more. It should be $25.80, but there's an extra 10. Did I remember wrong? Jiao Jin murmured to herself. She clearly remembered it being $25.80, but now the bag contained $35.80. Did she make a mistake? The little girl didn't dwell on it for long. After all, having more money is a good thing. She counted out $30, neatly stacked, and wrapped it in red paper, preparing to give it to her second sister later. Tang Mantong, sneaking at the door, saw the little girl emerge beaming with joy, and his lips couldn't help but curve upward, feeling relieved. Tang Nian and Xin Xiao had finished breakfast and set off. As they reached the village entrance, Jiao Jin came running with her small backpack, her chubby face jiggling. "Second sister, here." The little girl pulled a red envelope from her pocket and seriously handed it over with both hands. Tang Nian felt warmth in her heart and accepted the envelope without refusing, glancing at Xin Xiao. Xin Xiao paused for a moment, then realized, pulling out a handful of money and stuffing it into Jiao Jin's hands. "This is from your brother-in-law. Keep it secret from Grandma and your mom." Tang Nian smiled and reminded her. The amount Xin Xiao gave was at least $50 or $60. If Grandma Tang and Su Jinfeng found out, they would take every last cent. She wasn't worried at all that Jiao Jin would develop a bad habit of being wasteful. This girl was a little money lover, saving every penny she earned, often taking it out to count, just like Go Lang Tai. How could such a little money lover be wasteful? "Okay, I'll hide it." Jiao Jin grinned widely, carefully tucking the money into her pocket. She turned to run back and hide it but stopped after a few steps to ask, "Second sister, when will you come home?" "I'll be back when the prickly pears are ripe." Tang Nian thought for a moment. It was June now, and prickly pears would probably ripen in August, so that seemed about right.
Got it.
Jiao Jin received the answer and happily ran home to hide her money. Tang Nian smiled, noticing that the little girl's short legs seemed to have grown a bit, allowing her to run faster. Xin Xiao started the car and they quickly left Tang Village, heading towards the provincial capital to find Representative Liao, who had the funds for the machine tools. Representative Liao had been waiting for them and greeted them with congratulations, handing over a big red envelope, which Tang Nian accepted without hesitation. "Engineer Zhang has been waiting for you, but he received a last-minute notice to attend a meeting in Hu City yesterday." As Representative Liao spoke, he opened the safe and took out a briefcase. When he opened it, a dazzling golden light burst forth, almost blinding. Inside were neatly stacked gold bars. "If the funds are insufficient, just call this number and say you want hometown watermill dumplings with black sesame and lard filling. They will sort out the funds." "That's enough." Tang Nian replied firmly. The machine tools were in her space, and she would decide how much money was needed. "Don't be so sure. The West has strict controls on us, and these advanced devices are very expensive, often marked up. It might not be enough." Representative Liao was not so optimistic. "If they raise the price, I'll just seize the machine tools." Tang Nian made a fist gesture, knowing that in places like Xiangjiang, it's all about who is tougher, who's afraid of whom. Representative Liao twitched his lips, advising, "Better to be cautious." After that, he didn't press further, as he had already witnessed Tang Nian's strength firsthand. With Shen Zhao's support, even if this couple went to Xiangjiang as thieves, the police would probably have no way to stop them. Tang Nian and Shen Xiao didn't take the train but drove directly to Peng City, where they met Ma San, whom Shen Xiao knew. Last year, Du Yiluan had gone there with Ma San. Although the price was high, the safety was guaranteed. Ma San was in his 30s, lean and tough, with an ordinary appearance, just like the most common fisherman by the sea, easily overlooked in a crowd. "You need me to take you there?" Ma San looked doubtful. He knew Shen Zhao's capabilities well enough. It would be easy for him to go over, having done it before without needing to tie anything. "And my wife." Shen Xiao introduced Tang Nian. Ma San didn't ask further, assuming Tang Nian couldn't swim, which was why they needed to take his boat. "Even though we know each other, friendship is one thing, and the ticket price is another. The total for you two is 3,200. Pay before boarding." Here, Tang Nian had the money ready. Ma San took the money without counting and said, "You're lucky. There's a boat tonight at 1 a.m. It won't wait for latecomers." He had inside information about the water police's patrol times, ensuring safe passage every time. He spent a lot to maintain that information network, which is why his prices were higher than others. At 1 a.m., Shen Xiao and Tang Nian arrived on time. A fishing boat was docked by the shore, with Ma San standing at the bow. Inside the cabin were 15 or 16 people, all dressed decently and exuding an extraordinary aura. Anyone who could pay 1,600 to cross the sea was certainly not an ordinary person. They entered the cabin, where the atmosphere was tense, and no one spoke. Sitting across from Tang Nian was a girl about 16 or 17, with a dark face and a crew cut, looking boyish. But Tang Nian recognized her as a girl, and a pretty one at that. Next to her sat a boy about 14 or 15, handsome and refined, but pale, occasionally coughing into his hand. He tried hard to suppress the cough, but it only got worse. When Ma San entered and heard the boy coughing, he frowned but said nothing. There wouldn't be any water police patrols from 1 to 2 a.m., so even if there was some commotion, it wouldn't matter. "Drink some water, breathe slowly, and don't be nervous." The girl fed her brother some water, softly comforting him. Her voice was hoarse, likely from effort. After drinking, the boy slowed his breathing and coughed less. The boat started and headed toward the opposite shore. Ma San was very familiar with this route and could navigate it with his eyes closed. The people in the cabin listened to the sound of the water outside, their eyes growing brighter. But tonight was destined to be anything but calm. Halfway across, Ma San suddenly changed his expression and shouted to the people in the cabin, "Get down quickly." Before boarding, Ma San had told them that in case of an emergency, they should hide under their seats, where there was a hidden compartment. Everyone's expression changed, and they quickly opened the seat cover and squeezed inside. The hidden cabin was cramped and smelled foul, making it hard to breathe. Ma San quickly poured the prepared fresh fish into a bucket and took out a fishing net, casting it onto the water's surface. Soon, a bright light shone towards him as a patrol boat approached. "Officer, I came out to fish tonight. My wife just had a baby and can't produce milk. I want to earn some extra money, for formula." Ma San bent over and smiled, even inviting the water police onto his boat for an inspection, showing them the fish he caught. The water police shone their flashlight inside the cabin. Apart from the lively fish, there was no one else, and Ma San was skillfully casting his net, appearing to have no suspicious activity. "Don't go any further," the officer warned, as they were close to the opposite shore. "I got carried away while fishing. There are more fish here, and the ones on the other side are all escaping this way. Don't worry, I'll turn back now." Ma San was agreeable, quickly turning around and pulling in the net, which still had jumping fish and shrimp. The water police entered the cabin to check, carefully inspecting with their flashlight. Ma San stood outside, smiling, looking like an honest fisherman. "Officer, my wife has no milk, and the baby is crying from hunger. He was born weighing 5 pounds, and even at a month old, he hasn't reached 6 pounds. He's as thin as a rat. It's all my fault. I can't even support my wife and child.
I'm useless.
Ma Sen spoke sincerely, tears streaming down his face as he pounded his chest. The water police showed sympathy, feeling uneasy. It will get better. You need to have faith. An older officer comforted him, taking out some money from his pocket and pressing it into Ma San's hand. Take this for baby formula. No child should suffer. The other officers also pulled out money to give to Ma San. Ma San was taken aback, unsure how to continue his act. He had played many roles at sea, but this was the first time he encountered such genuine kindness. He felt embarrassed to take the money. Officer, your salaries aren't high. This is hard-earned money. I can't accept it. I believe things will get better. I have faith. Ma San firmly refused. He earned more in one trip than the officers made in a year.
Just take it.
The officers stuffed the money into Ma San's pocket, preparing to return to their patrol boat, appearing to have no suspicions. A faint sound came from the cabin, and the officers turned alert, their expressions sharpening. Ma San's heart sank. He recognized the sound as the sick boy coughing. Please don't cough again. Below deck, the boy held his mouth tightly, his pale face turning purple. He used all his strength to hold his breath, but his throat was getting itchier, and he could hardly hold on any longer. The dark cabin was pitch black, and they could only hear the increasingly frantic breathing. Everyone was terrified, fearing the boy's cough would attract the water police. If they were caught, they wouldn't just face jail time. They wouldn't be able to go to Hong Kong either. This boat ticket had drained their savings. Before boarding, Ma San had said that no matter if they succeeded or failed, the ticket money was non-refundable, and they couldn't afford another ticket. Tang Nian and Shin Xiao had night vision. They could see the boy's pained expression and the anxious look on the girl with him, who soon steeled herself. The girl bit her lip, pressing her brother's head into her arms with great force. The boy struggled a few times but quickly quieted down, allowing his sister to hold him, his breathing becoming weaker. Everyone else sighed in relief, silently praying the water police hadn't noticed and would hurry away. The officers indeed left, coincidentally hearing a splash when a fish jumped out of the bucket and landed on the deck with a thud. The officers assumed the earlier noise was also caused by fish, dismissing their suspicions and instructing Ma San to turn back inland, away from the opposite shore. Ma San obediently agreed. Once the patrol boat left, Ma San's submissive smile instantly vanished, replaced by a determined and fierce expression. He didn't turn back or call the people below deck out. Instead, he pushed the boat full speed towards the opposite shore. The girl, Deng Moli, was still tightly holding her brother. She didn't know the water police had left, and since Ma San hadn't told them to come out, she could only hold on tightly. If they were caught and taken back, it would mean certain death. Her brother needed imported medicine and high-quality supplements that couldn't be found inland, and even if they could, she couldn't afford them. She wanted to take her brother to Hong Kong to find their father. Their mother said their grandfather was wealthy, and if they found their father, he would have money to treat her brother. The water police are gone. If you don't let him go, he'll suffocate. Tang Mian reminded her. The boy's face was blue and purple, and his breathing was barely audible. She wasn't exaggerating. Don't speak. What if you attract the water police? Master Ma hasn't let us out. How do you know the water police are gone? Everyone be quiet. Once we reach the other side, we can say whatever we want. For now, just hold your breath. Everyone fell silent, their expressions frustrated, feeling unlucky to be on the same boat as a sick child, hoping they wouldn't be implicated. Deng Moli released her grip. She couldn't see, so she felt around under her brother's nose to check for breath. It was almost gone. She quickly rubbed his chest to help him breathe, choking back tears. Xiao Huan, wake up. Don't scare your sister. The boy kept his eyes tightly shut, his face still blue and purple, showing no signs of improvement. The boat bumped as it reached the shore. The deck was lifted, and a salty breeze rushed in. Ma San called out, "Come out." Finally here. Thank goodness. Thank the gods.
Ha ha ha.
As they emerged from the deck, the group stepped onto the sandy beach, taking deep breaths of the salty air. They laughed and cried, some even knelt down, facing inland and sincerely bowing several times. When they stood up, they were already in tears. Deng Moli was giving her brother CPR. Her technique was fairly professional, and she persisted, but soon she was exhausted. Still, she didn't give up, gritting her teeth and continuing to press. Xiao Huan, hang in there. We'll find Dad soon, and he'll have money to treat you. I promise I'll find Dad. I've done it. You promised me to be okay, and you have to keep your word. Deng Moli cried as she pressed, her hands numb from the effort, tears dripping onto her brother's face. Ma San poured some clean water into the boy's mouth and gave him a few pills, thinking he had heatstroke and that the pills would help. You're too weak, let me do it. Tang Nian pulled Deng Moli up and took over the compressions. Her technique was very professional and strong, and with her sister's urgent help, the boy was slowly recovering. With Tang Nian's assistance, the boy's color began to improve. Cough, cough. The boy coughed, and everyone looked happy, saying, "He's awake, he's okay." Although they had complained about the boy before, now that he was safe, they all hoped he would live. The siblings looked quite pitiful. The boy opened his eyes, glanced around, and finally focused on his sister, weakly saying, "Sister, I kept my promise." Xiao Hua. Deng Moli excitedly hugged her brother, crying and laughing. At that moment, Ma San said, "Everyone, I wish you all the best. I'm heading back." "Thank you, Master Ma. Be careful on the way." Everyone was grateful to Ma San. His fee was a bit high, but he was reliable. Ma San jumped onto the boat and quickly drifted away, disappearing into the sea. "I'll go ahead. Until we meet again. I'm leaving too. Let's keep in touch."
Goodbye.
These people all had relatives and friends in Hong Kong, so they left soon after, leaving only the Deng siblings, Tang Nian and Xin Xiao. "Sister, where do we find Dad?" Deng Hua asked softly. "We'll ask around once we get into the city." Deng Moli felt uncertain. She only knew her father's name and that her grandfather was wealthy. After the liberation, their family went to Hong Kong, but her father lived there for a few years before returning to Shanghai. He met their mother, had her and her brother, and when her brother was 1 year old, he secretly left, leaving a letter saying he would go to Hong Kong to find their grandfather and would send money home. For the first 2 years, he sent some money, but then there was no news. Their family was labeled as rightists due to overseas connections, and their mother was humiliated. They were bullied and isolated at school, living in fear every day. Deng Moli was filled with hatred. She hated her irresponsible father and this cruel world. This time she came to Hong Kong not only to treat her brother, but also to settle the debt her father owed them. Tang Nian noticed the change in her expression. She was decisive and fierce, which was interesting. "Miss, my name is Deng Moli. Thank you for saving my brother." Deng Moli walked over with her brother, knelt down, and bowed 3 times. If it weren't for this beautiful girl speaking up earlier, she would have held her brother until they reached the shore, and after so long, her brother might. Deng Moli felt a wave of fear. She had to repay this life-saving grace. "I can't repay you now, but if I have the chance in the future, I will definitely repay you." Deng Moli's expression was serious. She was struggling now, but she wouldn't always be this way. She was determined to succeed. "You're Deng Moli?" Deng as in the surname, and Moli as in Jasmine? "From Shanghai?" Tang Nian asked in Shanghainese. "Yes, are you from Shanghai too?" Deng Moli replied in fluent Shanghainese, her expression joyful, surprised to find her savior was also a fellow local. "I'm from Zhejiang, so I guess that makes us half fellow townsfolk. There aren't many with the surname Deng. I remember a silk factory owner named Deng Chongguang from Shanghai. Are you related to him?" Tang Nian was very interested in Deng Moli, as she might be the legendary big boss. She needed to confirm. "Deng Chongguang is my grandfather, but I've never met him. My father's name is Deng Sengsu," Deng Moli answered. Tang Nian nodded secretly. She was right. The legendary female boss Deng Moli was indeed the granddaughter of Deng Chongguang. The Deng family had a silk factory in Shanghai before the liberation and made a lot of money in real estate and banking. Deng Chongguang moved to Hong Kong with his family before the liberation, selling all their assets. After arriving in Hong Kong, Deng Chongguang invested in casinos and nightclubs, met some gang leaders, and started a film company, making even more money than in Shanghai. However, Deng Chongguang had 3 wives and many children. Deng Moli's father was mediocre and had no status in the family. As a granddaughter raised inland, Deng Moli had no emotional ties to Deng Chongguang. After joining the Deng family, her position was awkward. Even the servants looked down on her. Tang Nian had read Deng Moli's autobiography, which mentioned her harrowing journey across the sea. Her beloved brother had died along the way. This made Deng Moli ruthless in her actions, harsh to others, and even harder on herself. To seize the Deng family fortune, she married a gang leader and eventually became the head of the Deng family. Tang Nian looked at the ragged and disheveled Deng Moli before her. No one would expect this girl would one day become a powerful figure in Hong Kong. Meeting is fate. Since we are half fellow townsfolk, I'll lend you this money. Tang Nian took out some cash and handed it to Deng Moli, also giving her some biscuits and water, seeing how thin and hungry the siblings looked. I can't accept this. I can't repay it right now. Deng Moli refused, while Deng Hua's stomach growled, and he instantly turned red, lowering his head. Pay me back later. My name is Tang Nian. Tang Nian insisted, then pulled Shen Xiao away. She wanted to create a good connection. When Deng Moli became the head of the Deng family, she would surely repay her. I will definitely pay you back, Sister Tang. Deng Moli's voice called after her, but Tang Nian didn't turn around, just waved her hand, and quickly walked away. The place where Ma San docked was a small fishing village, far from the city. When they reached the main road, it was still dark, so they decided to rest in their space, take a shower, change clothes, and sleep until noon. Hong Kong truly lived up to its reputation as a fashion capital. The young men and women on the streets were stylishly dressed, and the streets were bustling with cars and people, far more vibrant than the inland in the 1990s. Tang Nian wore a white shirt and loose gray linen pants, tucking the shirt into her pants. Simple yet stylish, she stood out in the crowd. Shen Xiao also changed into casual clothes, wearing a white shirt and jeans. They walked side by side, attracting many curious glances. Tang Nian hailed a taxi and gave the driver the Tang family address. She had already called ahead. Tang Jinglin and her 2 brothers were not home. Only Mu Xiulian was there. She was so excited when she answered the phone that she almost fainted. The Tang family lived on a hillside. After hanging up, Mu Xiulian was busy. Alien, hurry and clean the young lady's room, then go to the garden and cut some roses to arrange. Choose the prettiest ones. Ajin, make some snacks, both sweet and savory. With Mu Xiulian's orders, the Tang family's servants hurried to prepare for the arrival of the legendary young lady and her husband. The servants knew that the Tang family had a mysterious young lady who had never shown her face. However, last year, when the master and mistress returned from business in the inland, everyone was joyful. They even redecorated the young lady's room, which used to be pink and frilly, now transformed into a simple and elegant wooden style, as the young lady didn't like pink. Mu Xiulian called the company, asking Tang Jinglin and his son to leave work early. They couldn't find the youngest son, Tang Chongfeng, so they just let it be. When Tang Jinglin and Tang Chongchuan received the call, they were about to start a routine company meeting. The secretary informed them about the call, and after finishing it, Tang Jinglin said seriously, "Eldest, the meeting is yours." After saying that, he hurriedly left, walking faster and faster until it seemed like he was flying. The company staff were stunned. They had never seen the chairman act so recklessly, almost like he was possessed. Tang Chongchuan gritted his teeth, secretly cursing his father for being cunning. He wanted to go home and see his little sister too. He called his assistant and said seriously, "Assistantly, you take over the meeting. Report the results to me tomorrow." After that, he ignored his shocked assistant and strode away, leaving everyone dumbfounded. Did both the chairman and the general manager take the wrong medicine today? Tang Nianyan and Shin Xiao arrived home almost at the same time as Tang Jinglin and his son. Little sister, Nianyan. The two brothers drove home separately. As they neared the door, Tang Chongchuan ran ahead, getting out of the car first and eagerly running towards Tang Nianyan, while Tang Jinglin, a step behind, gritted his teeth in frustration. Tang Nianyan stepped aside to avoid her brother's enthusiastic embrace. She still wasn't used to physical contact, even with her older brother. "Aren't you two at work?" Tang Nianyan checked the time. It was only 2:30 p.m. "Work in Xiangjiang didn't end this early, did it? There's not much going on this afternoon." "Nianyan, come inside." "Xiao Shun, you too." Tang Chongchuan finally spotted Shen Xiao and quickly called him over. Tang Jinglin approached, huffed at him, and pushed him aside, smiling affectionately. "Nian, come home with Dad." Tang Nian twitched her mouth. Did this father and son have to be so dramatic? It felt like a competition for affection. "Welcome, Miss and son-in-law, home." As soon as they entered the door, the loud voices of the servants startled them. About 10 servants of the Tang family stood in 2 rows, standing tall and clapping to welcome them. If there had been more time, Mu Xulian would have definitely arranged for a band to make it even more grand. "Nian, you're finally home.
Come in and sit down."
You must be tired from the journey." Seeing her daughter, Mu Xulian's eyes instantly turned red. She warmly held Tang Nianyan's hand, asking about her well-being, while Tang Jinglin was pushed aside. "Where's the second brother?" After sitting down, Tang Nianyan asked. Everyone in the Tang family was present except for the silly second brother, Tang Chongfeng. "Don't mind him. He's always out having fun. The school can't even find him. Who knows where he is?" Mu Xulian said with slight dissatisfaction. "Have you called his friends?" Tang Jinglin frowned. It was hard for their daughter to come home, and the second brother should definitely be back. It wouldn't feel right without everyone together. "I called, but they weren't home." Seeing her husband's displeased expression, Mu Xulian changed the subject. "Forget about him. He's old enough to take care of himself." "Nian Xiao Shun, have some snacks." The pastries made by the Tang family servants were delicious. Tang Nian and Shen Xiao ate quite a bit, while Mu Xulian and the others watched them with increasingly satisfied smiles. After Tang Nian finished eating, she wiped her hands and slowly sipped her coffee. She didn't mention buying the machine tools. She already had them in her space and could retrieve them later. This trip to Xiangjiang felt like a honeymoon vacation. As night fell, Mu Xulian personally cooked a lot of authentic Shanghai dishes. The missing Tang Chongfeng also returned, shouting from the garden, "Mom, what do you need me for?" He had heard from his classmates that his mom had called him, seeming to have something important to discuss, so he hurried back. Tang Chongfeng ran into the living room, and upon seeing Tang Nianyan and Shin Xiao sitting there, he froze for a moment, then joyfully rushed over for a hug. Tang Nianyan moved. The missing Tang Chongfeng also returned, shouting from the garden, "Mom, what do you need me for?" He had heard from his classmates that his mom had called him, seeming to have something important to discuss, so he hurried back. Tang Chongfeng ran and he thought about his little sister every day, but she didn't seem to miss him as much. "I missed you too."
"Si properly."
Tang Nianyan replied without much enthusiasm, but Tang Chongfeng, like a floppy doll, leaned towards her. She had to frown and pull him aside. Tang Chongfeng pouted and obediently sat up straight. Once the kitchen was done, Mu Xulian came out to call them to the dining room. The table was filled with dishes, and the Tang family sat together, making Tang Jinglin and his wife emotional. After 18 years, they finally had a day of family reunion. "Today is a great day. I'm so happy. We must open a bottle of wine to celebrate." Tang Jinglin was in high spirits and ran to the basement wine cellar to get a bottle of red wine. Mu Xulian didn't stop him. It was indeed a special day, and they should enjoy it. Tang Jinglin and his 2 sons, all with low tolerance for alcohol, shared the bottle and soon became tipsy. "I'm happy. I'm not drunk. Xiao Shun, let's toast." Tang Jinglin raised his glass, insisting on clinking it with Shin Xiao. "Sis-in-law, let's toast." Tang Chongquan also struggled to lift his glass. Both father and son had blurry eyes but thought they were completely sober, eager to toast with Xin Xiao. Tang Chongfeng was the least capable. He had already collapsed, too drunk to even recognize his parents. Mu Xiulian watched with a headache and instructed the servants to help the three tipsy ones to their rooms to rest, then asked someone to make a hangover soup and told Tang Nian and Xin Xiao to go to bed early. Nian, tomorrow I'll take you shopping. The mall has a lot of new styles. Let's buy some things. Xiao Shun, if you don't like shopping, you can go out with Chongfeng. How's that sound? Mu Xiulian asked for their opinions, filled with longing. When she first got married, she wanted a beautiful daughter to dress up like a princess. But after having two sons, her desire to dress up a little princess remained unfulfilled. Finally, she had a daughter, but due to circumstances, they were separated for 17 years, making her wish to dress her daughter a deep obsession. Tang Nian had no objections. Even though she didn't like shopping, she sensed Mu Xiulian's eagerness and agreed to go. As for Xin Xiao, he didn't need Tang Chongfeng to accompany him. He was familiar with Xiangjiang from previous visits. The next day, after breakfast, Mu Xiulian energetically led her daughter to the mall. Xin Xiao wanted to shop alone, but Tang Chongfeng insisted on tagging along. The Tang family had two dedicated drivers. One took Tang Jinglin to the company, and the other took Mu Xiulian out. Tang Chongfeng and his brother drove themselves. Tang Nian didn't like using a driver and said she could drive herself, just needing Mu Xiulian to guide her. Mu Xiulian naturally agreed. As long as her daughter was happy, she would let her do anything. At first, Tang Nian felt a bit awkward since she wasn't familiar with the roads in Hong Kong, which had many slopes and narrow streets. After driving for a while, she got the hang of it. Mu Xiulian chatted with her about their ID cards. Your and Xiaoshen's ID cards are fine. Your dad took care of it a long time ago, so you can go anywhere without worry. The household registration in Hong Kong is quite chaotic right now. With money, anything can be done. Tang Jinglin spent some money to get 2 ID cards without much hassle. Tang Nian felt warm inside and felt closer to her family. She asked about Xiao Fenghua. She was in Hong Kong last month, but she had to go back to the UK for some work. She's recovering well. The old Chinese doctor even asked us who prescribed those medicines. We just said it was an old doctor from the mainland and didn't say more. Tang Nian smiled and said, "Those medicines are mainly made from rare herbs. Even with money, you can't easily buy them. I'll prepare some for you in the future."
No need for that.
Such precious herbs should be kept for yourself. Your dad and I are in good health, so there's no need to waste them. Mu Xiulian refused, knowing that life-saving medicines are rare. She and her husband are still healthy, so it would be a waste. Tang Nian stayed silent, thinking that even if they didn't eat them, she would. When they arrived at the mall, the parking attendant recognized Mu Xiulian's car and warmly greeted them, "Mrs. Tang." "My daughter." Mu Xiulian handed him some cash. "Hello, Miss Tang." The parking attendant was all smiles, feeling lucky to have received such a generous tip. Mu Xiulian led her daughter into the mall, visiting a few big brand counters she often frequented. The salesgirls were especially enthusiastic upon seeing her, showering her with compliments and making her feel very happy. "Today, my daughter is the star. Don't mind me, just bring out the new styles for her to try. Miss Tang, you truly are Mrs. Tang's daughter, stunningly beautiful. Honestly, with your looks, you don't even need to try on these clothes. They'll look great on you. Real beauties shine without needing clothes to enhance them, just like Mrs. Tang." The salesgirl's flattery was relentless, making Mu Xiulian swipe her card repeatedly. If Tang Nian hadn't stopped her, she probably would have bought out the entire store. "I don't like these. No sequins or shoulder pads. I prefer simple and elegant." Tang Nian picked out a few outfits with sequins and shoulder pads, which are currently in fashion, but she didn't like them. The salesgirl patiently let Tang Nian choose, and in the end, they picked out 5 or 6 outfits, mostly gray, and white shirts paired with long pants. "Mrs. Tang, are you shopping too? Hey, is this beautiful young lady your relative?" A few wealthy ladies entered the store, greeting Mu Xiaolian warmly and looking curiously at Tang Nian. "This is my daughter. She used to live with her grandmother in the UK and just came back," Mu Xiaolian introduced with a smile. Tang Nian smiled faintly, considering that a greeting. The fact that the Tang family has a daughter isn't a secret in Hong Kong's upper class, but they only say she is abroad and outsiders don't know the details. The wealthy ladies looked at her curiously but only glanced briefly, not staring, which didn't annoy Tang Nian. They exchanged flattering words and began gossiping about recent events. The Deng family has a young lady and a young master back from the mainland. They came knocking today, poor things, worse than beggars. Deng Chongguang has a bunch of grandchildren. These siblings will have a tough time ahead. Having too many grandchildren isn't necessarily a good thing. If there are too many, they lose their value. The wealthy ladies were all from Shanghai. During the war, many rich merchants moved to Hong Kong, helping each other in business, while the women formed a social circle, playing mahjong and gossiping.
Tang Nian Listen Li.
Deng Mo Li and her brother had successfully joined the Deng family. Even if life was tough, it was still better than in the mainland, where they wouldn't have to worry about hunger or their lives. After shopping for most of the day, they had bought plenty for Tang Nian, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and bags. The car was full, and they had to arrange for delivery to their home. Still, Mu Xiaolian said they bought too little, and Tang Jinglin agreed, suggesting they continue shopping tomorrow, even mentioning a trip to Paris. Tang Nian quickly refused, saying she had more than enough clothes, even if she changed every day. Plus, she had collected many outfits in her past life, so she really had enough to wear. In the past few days, she had accompanied Mu Xiaolian shopping or playing cards with her mahjong friends. In just a few days, the reputation of the Tang family's young lady spread throughout Hong Kong, and the upper-class circle knew that the mysterious young lady from the Tang family had returned. This was the effect Tang Nian wanted. The relationship between her and Tang Jinglin and his wife was already known, so there was no need to hide it. With her identity as the Tang family's young lady, it would be much easier for her to navigate Hong Kong. After spending a week with Mu Xiaolian, Tang Nian was finally free to act on her own. She had wanted to bring it up a few days ago, but Mu Xiaolian's overwhelming motherly love made her hesitate. She usually doesn't hold back against enemies, but she couldn't be harsh with those who loved her. "Nian, take this money, and here's a card. Buy whatever you want. If you run out of money, just use your dad's name." As they were leaving, Mu Xiaolian stuffed a large amount of cash and a card into her hands, quite generous. Then Tang Jinglin and Tang Chongquan each gave her a stack of money, which was quite thick. Tang Chongfeng looked a bit embarrassed. After searching for a while, he pulled out a few bills, totaling just over 100, and awkwardly handed them to his sister. "Here, little sister, use this for now. I'll give you more later." His voice was barely above a whisper, filled with shame. After all this time, he couldn't even give his sister money. What kind of brother was he? "That's enough." Tang Nian stuffed the money into her bag, which was now bulging. With that much money, she could probably buy out a store. She glanced at her embarrassed second brother, but said nothing and turned to ask again. Tang Jinglin and Tang Chongquan were heading to the company. Mu Xiaolian was going home for a beauty nap, and Tang Chongfeng was also leaving. "Second brother, where are you going?" "I'll give you a ride." Tang Nian called out to Tang Chongfeng. Tang Jinglin knew she liked driving, so he had sent a car for her. Getting a driver's license was easy with money. Tang Chongfeng thought his sister didn't want him to leave, happily got into the car, and after going downhill, Tang Nian suddenly asked, "Second brother, where did your money go?" Her voice was like a cold wind coming from a cave, chilling Tang Chongfeng, making him shiver several times, and his eyes darted nervously.
"What?
What money?" Tang Chongfeng pretended to be clueless. "Last year, didn't you say you would give me over 10,000 yuan? It's gone?" Tang Nian asked directly. Her foolish brother couldn't even lie properly. It was clear on his face that the money was gone. Over 10,000 yuan wasn't much for the Tang family, but it couldn't just disappear without explanation. She needed to find out what happened. I spent it, Nian. From now on, I'll save all my pocket money and give it to you. Tang Chongfeng's eyes showed more guilt as he stuttered. He didn't even realize that he always stuttered when he lied, something Tang Mianyan had noticed last year. Did you spend it on a man or a woman? Tang Mianyan asked sharply. Over 10,000 yuan was not a small amount. It couldn't just be spent all at once. Cold sweat trickled down Tang Chongfeng's face. He suddenly realized that facing his sister was harder than facing their parents or older brother. The pressure was immense. It was my friend Away. His dad got injured at work, and the boss won't pay. I gave Away the money for the medical fees. Tang Chongfeng told the truth. Away was his best friend, and he had to help. Didn't your friend call the police? He did, but the police said Away's dad didn't sign a contract, so he was considered a temporary worker and not eligible for compensation. But it was the boss who refused to sign the contract, Tang Chongfeng said angrily. Tang Mianyan frowned. This kind of thing happened often in the mainland. Many bosses delayed paying migrant workers using such tricks. Are you very close with Away? We're good brothers. Once, when I was out singing with friends, a group of thugs caused trouble. Everyone else ran away, but Away stayed to help me, fighting them off with a bottle. He cleared a path for us, Tang Chongfeng said, insisting that Away was a lifelong brother who would share both good and bad times. Tang Mianyan raised an eyebrow, starting to understand. It was like her friendship with Boa during the apocalypse. Is the medical fee enough? Tang Chongfeng shook his head in disappointment. Away's dad hurt his back, and the doctor said he needs several surgeries. They've only raised enough for the first one. The rest is still uncertain. He wanted to ask their parents for money, but Away disagreed, saying if he did, they would no longer be friends. How much more do you need? Tang Mianyan asked. Since Away helped her foolish brother, it wouldn't hurt to lend a hand. With surgery, rehabilitation, and nutrition costs, it would be at least 200,000 yuan, Tang Chongfeng sighed. He regretted spending money carelessly in the past. Otherwise, he could have saved more. Tang Mianyan was a bit surprised. She thought it would be over $1 million. 200,000 wasn't too much. She could take that out right now. But she wanted to meet Away first to confirm if he was really as Tang Chongfeng described. After dropping Tang Chongfeng off at school, just as he got out of the car, someone called out to him. Finally found you. Away is crazy. He went to fight underground. A boy ran over, speaking Cantonese, but Tang Mianyan understood. This boy was a mutual friend of Tang Chongfeng and Away. Tang Chongfeng hadn't seen Away for several days and had asked the boy for news. Tang Chongfeng's face changed dramatically. He's risking his life? He's already fought a few matches and won some money, but I heard he's up against an American tonight, nicknamed Black Bear. He's dangerous. Several people have died at his hands, and he's a champion in the ring. The boy looked worried. Away facing Black Bear was a death sentence. This is ridiculous. Where is Away?
Tang Chanfen panicked.
He couldn't let his friend face Black Bear. I can't find him. He's probably hiding to train. What should we do now? Let's figure it out. Tang Chongfeng was both anxious and helpless. He didn't know what to do. Tang Mianyan overheard everything. Underground fighting and Black Bear were things that excited her. It had been a while since she had a good fight. She raised an eyebrow at Xin Xiao. Xin Xiao nodded slightly. The underground fights started at night. During the day, Tang Chongfeng and his friends searched for Away but couldn't find him, so they had to go to the fighting arena. Tang Mianyan and Xin Xiao wore masks and also showed up at the arena. The earlier matches were intense, but the audience was unsatisfied, shouting, "Change the fighters! Bring on Black Bear!" People came to watch underground fights for excitement. After a long day of work, they wanted something thrilling, preferably with bloodshed. If someone died, that would be even more exciting. The earlier matches were too tame. There was no blood, no deaths, and the audience protested loudly for Black Bear. Tonight's main event was supposed to be Black Bear versus Away. One was a newcomer, and the other was a seasoned veteran with several lives on his hands. Everyone came to see Black Bear tear Away apart. Black Bear's favorite pastime was ripping his opponents in half. The atmosphere reached a peak, and the arena owner finally gave the order for Black Bear and Away to enter. Away came out first, Among the Chinese, he was considered strong, standing at 1.8 meters with well-built muscles, clearly someone who worked out regularly. But when Black Bear stepped out, Away's physique paled in comparison. Black Bear was at least 2 meters tall, his dark skin glistening with oil, swaggering like a gorilla. With each step, the ring shook. Standing next to Away, he looked like a giant next to a human. Before the match even started, the outcome was already decided. In terms of strength, weight, and height, Away and Black Bear were not in the same league, not to mention Black Bear's experience. Away was definitely no match for him. Away, don't fight.
Get down.
Tang Chongfeng shouted from below the ring. I have money, just stop fighting and come down. If they had to end their friendship, so be it. He would just ask their parents for money. He couldn't bear to watch his best friend get killed by Black Bear. Away glanced at him, shaking his head slightly, his eyes filled with sorrow. He had already signed a life and death contract. He either fought or paid a huge penalty he couldn't afford. So, even knowing he was facing death and it would be painful, he had no choice but to fight. Get down first. We'll figure something out together. Away, I'm begging you, come down. Tang Chongfeng cried as he tried to climb into the ring. He had to save his friend. A few burly men approached, ready to throw Tang Chongfeng out for causing trouble, but someone stopped them. It was Tang Nianyan.
Put him down.
As soon as Tang Nianyan spoke, she struck the burly men a few times, causing their hands to go numb, and Tang Chongfeng fell to the ground.
Stay put.
Tang Nianyan told him before going to find the arena manager. Are you going to fight for Away? Miss, this isn't a place for you to play around. Leave now, or I won't be polite. The arena manager looked at her as if she were crazy. He had managed underground fights for over 10 years and had never seen a woman fight. The physical differences between men and women were too great, and he wouldn't accept female fighters. You won't know if I'm just joking unless you try. Tang Nianyan lightly tapped his shoulder. The manager initially dismissed it, but soon his expression changed, and he looked at her seriously. That tap had hurt his bones. Her strength was greater than many men. What's the point of men fighting men? It's much more exciting when a man fights a woman. Imagine a big black bear against a beautiful woman in a life and death match. The woman could be torn in half. Isn't that thrilling? Wouldn't more people want to bet on it? Tang Nianyan's voice became increasingly tempting, and the manager's expression softened. The fighting arena was meant to attract bets, and what she said made sense. Should he give it a try? We're fighting for life and death, miss. You don't need to seek your own demise. The manager kindly warned her, not wanting to see such a young and beautiful girl perish at the hands of the black bear. I want to die a glorious death. Tang Nianyan acted dramatically, leaving the manager speechless as he ordered his men to change fighters. Away and the black bear had already started fighting. Within moments, Away was pushed back and even spat blood. The audience booed, criticizing Away for being useless and wasting their time and money. On the stage, Away was barely hanging on, and the black bear moved in, ready to lift him and tear him apart. At that moment, the black bear was excited, eager for his favorite part, ripping his opponent in half and feeling the warm blood splatter on his face. The thrill was unmatched. Away! Tang Chongfeng shouted, unable to bear watching, and closed his eyes tightly. Away also shut his eyes, thinking he was about to die. But the pain never came. Instead, he heard the referee's whistle stopping the match. The black bear roared in anger, wanting to grab Away, while the audience cheered, urging the black bear to tear Away apart. However, someone stopped the black bear, a slender woman in tight clothing and a mask, still exuding youth and beauty. She used her delicate hand to block the black bear. Standing together, the contrast between the black bear and Away was striking, resembling a powerful giant and a beautiful maiden. Nian? Tang Chongfeng was stunned, as if he had swallowed an egg. How did his sister get on stage? The host announced the next match, pausing the fight between Away and the black bear, now switching to Maria and the black bear, allowing the audience to place new bets. The audience booed. If even the strong Ah Wei couldn't beat the black bear, how could a woman? Yet, despite the boos, they stayed, eager to see how the black bear would torment the beautiful woman. Most bets were on the black bear to win, with no one believing in Tang Nian. Shen Xiao followed his wife's instructions and placed a bet of 100,000 on her. The odds were 20 to 1, meaning if Tang Nian won, they would win 2 million. Brother-in-law, aren't you a martial arts expert? Go save Nian. She can't fight. She'll die. Don't hold me back. I need to save Nian. Let me go. Tang Chongfeng was restrained by Shen Xiao, unable to move, forced to watch his sister fight the black bear. His heart felt like it was breaking. If anything happened to his sister, he would definitely kill the black bear for revenge. Shen Xiao took him to the side of the ring, ready to jump in if anything changed. But he had faith in his wife. The black bear was just strong but slow. Nian would surely win. The gong sounded, and the audience perked up, all eyes on the ring. The black bear attacked first, relying on his strength, but his speed was lacking. In contrast, Tang Nian was quick, avoiding direct confrontations and moving like a butterfly around the black bear. The black bear swung several times but couldn't hit Tang Nian. She was slippery like an eel, and his punches felt like hitting cotton, which frustrated him. The audience grew dissatisfied. They wanted to see a bloody fight, not this evasive display. What kind of boxing match was this? The referee blew the whistle, signaling Tang Nian to stop dodging and start fighting back. Tang Nian nodded, acknowledging the instruction. In the second round, she indeed fought back, targeting the black bear's neck, eyes, and vulnerable spots. In street fighting, it didn't matter how you hit, as long as you took your opponent down. The black bear was kicked in a sensitive spot, crying out in pain. His eyes turned red with rage as he charged at Tang Nian, determined to tear her apart. The audience was thrilled, cheering for the black bear since they had all bet on him, hoping for his victory. Kill her. Hit her hard. Kill that woman. The crowd was excited, urging the black bear to finish Tang Nian off. Some even rushed to the edge of the ring to cheer him on. The black bear became increasingly agitated, roaring and throwing punches, but Tang Nian remained calm, countering methodically. She poked his eyes, kicked him in the sensitive area, and even got behind him, choking him. The second round ended with Tang Nian's victory. After a short break, the third round began. In this round, the black bear clearly lacked the stamina of the previous two. Tang Nian, now more aggressive, launched a series of aerial kicks, quickly causing the black bear to spit blood and fall to the ground.
Bang!
When the black bear fell, it was like a mountain crashing down, shaking the ring. The audience's hearts sank as they shouted, "Get up! Get up! Don't waste my money!" Amidst the angry shouts, the black bear slowly got up, licking the blood from his lips, and lunged at Tang Nian with a sinister grin. "Kill her!" The audience cheered, believing the black bear would surely win. Tang Nian smirked, standing still. As the black bear charged, she dodged, jumped on his back, and locked his neck, striking his temple with her elbow. The black bear howled in pain, struggling to escape her grip, but it was futile. Her arms were like iron hooks, holding him tight. After a series of elbow strikes, the black bear finally collapsed, blood spilling from his mouth. The referee approached, checking under the black bear's nose, his expression changing slightly. "Maria wins." The referee announced Tang Nian's victory, but the audience booed, cursing the fight as rigged. How could such a powerful black bear lose to a woman? It had to be a setup. Let her fight the Mad Dog again. Only then will we believe it. Mad Dog is one of the top fighters in the ring. He is Thai, and although he is small and skinny, he has taken several lives. Mad Dog has two main traits when fighting. He doesn't fear pain, and he fights to the death. As long as he has breath left, he will stand up and fight his opponent until one of them is dead. Many fighters would rather face Black Bear than fight Mad Dog. The ring manager found Tang Nian and ordered her to fight Mad Dog again, not asking but commanding. The life and death match for Ah Wei is only with Black Bear. The match is over. Tang Nian sneered and refused. Miss, whether the match is over is decided by the ring. In my territory, no one dares to say no. The manager clapped his hands, and several big men appeared, surrounding Tang Nian. Miss, you'd better be sensible. Fight again, and the prize money doubles, the manager said with a forced smile. Watch your tone. Don't overstep your bounds. As soon as Tang Nian finished speaking, the manager was suddenly at her mercy, with her gun pressed against his temple. Who's in charge now? Tang Nian pulled the trigger, and with a click, the manager turned pale, relieved to find it was a blank. Just as he was about to threaten her, a loud bang echoed as a bullet whizzed past him, hitting the door across the room. The manager turned white with fear, and the other big men dared not move, afraid that Tang Nian might accidentally shoot their boss. Did you think I had no bullets? Just so you know, there are 3 bullets in the chamber, 2 left. I don't know if the next shot will be a blank or a live round. Want to test it on your head? Tang Nian pressed the gun back against his temple and slowly pulled the trigger. No, if you don't want to fight, then don't. I was wrong to offend you. The prize for fighting Black Bear is 200,000. I'll give you 400,000.
How about that?
The manager begged repeatedly, realizing he should wait to take revenge after learning more about this woman. Give me the money. Tang Nian put away her gun, and the manager ordered his men to get the cash. Soon, they brought a box containing exactly 400,000. How much is the prize for fighting Mad Dog? Tang Nian picked up the box and casually asked. She hadn't had enough fun fighting Black Bear, and taking on Mad Dog sounded good too. The manager blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. You want to fight Mad Dog? Depends on the prize. If it's too low, I'm not interested. I can guarantee you'll be satisfied.
50,000, how about that?
The manager perked up. Mad Dog had been fighting for 3 years and was in poor shape. He was ready to give up. Fighting this woman seemed like a good idea. Whether he lived or died, the ring would profit greatly. 60,000. Tang Nian haggled, and after a moment of hesitation, the manager agreed. The match was set for an hour and a half later. The manager informed the wealthy boxing fans in Hong Kong that there would be a death match between the Beauty and Mad Dog, especially since the Beauty had just killed Black Bear. These 2 points were enough to attract the rich, and within an hour, the VIP seats were filled. Many placed bets, most favoring Mad Dog, while a few backed Tang Nian. Xin Xiao cashed in the 2 million from the last match and bet it all on Tang Nian to win. With more wealthy spectators, the stakes rose, making his 2 million seem insignificant, with odds reaching 6-1. If Tang Nian won, he would make 6 million. Before the match, Tang Nian gave the 400,000 to Xin Xiao for safekeeping and said, 20,000 for Awei. Nian, don't fight. That Mad Dog is really insane. Can we just go home? Tang Chongfeng regretted involving his sister in Awei's matter. Even though Tang Nian had beaten Black Bear, he was still worried. Fighting is unpredictable. It's fine. Tang Nian gently patted her silly brother's head to reassure him before stepping into the ring. Tang Chongfeng looked worried. He felt no comfort at all. He silently prayed for his sister to win. The host announced the start of the match, and Mad Dog and Tang Nian entered the ring together. They were about the same height, and Tang Nian was still wearing her mask. This match is a life and death fight between Mad Dog and Maria. The competition is about to begin. The host's passionate voice echoed in the ring, attracting more bets, with Tang Nian's odds reaching 6-1. Among the audience, a small figure squeezed in. It was Deng Molly, dressed in new clothes and looking much better than on the boat. She glanced at Tang Nian on stage, smiled, and took out all her money, 1,000. I bet on Maria.
Deng Molly said firmly.
After placing her bet, she returned to her seat to watch the match. As the gong sounded, the match began. In this match, Tang Nian changed her strategy. She had always attacked head-on, but Mad Dog was short and not very strong. Even in a direct confrontation, she wasn't afraid. However, Mad Dog truly felt no pain. Even when battered and bruised, he could still get up and keep fighting, as if nothing had happened. Tang Nian understood that someone like Mad Dog must have been raised on medicinal herbs, developing tough skin and bones, with a dulled sense of pain. Such people, suffering immense damage to their nerves, only know how to kill. Living is painful, and death is a release. She targeted Mad Dog's weaknesses, and after just 2 rounds, he coughed up black blood and died. As he fell, he looked deeply at Tang Nian, his eyes filled with gratitude and relief. The referee checked for breath, unable to maintain his composure. Another one down. This woman might not just be a fighter. Maria wins. The referee raised Tang Nian's hand, declaring her victory. The audience went wild. Those who bet on Tang Nian cheered, while those who backed Mad Dog were furious and ready to fight. However, no one accused foul play this time. Mad Dog had been a last-minute addition, so it was impossible. Really bad luck, losing 2 matches in a row. Not one good fighter. Next time, I'm definitely betting on Maria to win. Everyone learned their lesson. Maria was a fierce competitor and would surely be a star in the ring. They all bet on Maria to win, certain it would pay off. Shen Xiao took Tang Chongfeng to cash in their winnings, 6-1, totaling 12 million. Please wait a moment. We don't have enough cash at the counter and need to get more. The staff hesitated. It was the first time in many years the ring had to pay out so much money, and the amount was too large for him to decide. Get your boss here, Shen Xiao said coldly, casually tearing off a corner of the table. He placed the wooden triangle in the staff's hand and said politely, show this to your boss and have him come quickly. I'm not very patient. Yes, sir, please wait a moment. The staff broke into a cold sweat and hurried off to find the boss. After his sister won the first match, Tang Chongfeng's dazed expression finally cracked. His eyes widened, staring unblinkingly at the corner of the broken table, his gaze turning fervent. He had only one thought in his mind. His brother-in-law was indeed a martial arts master. If he could learn even a few moves from his brother-in-law, he would surely be able to walk confidently in Hong Kong. He would be the second Bruce Lee. Tang Chongfeng's excited gaze fixed on Shen Xiao. The intense affection made Shen Xiao uncomfortable, prompting him to step aside, feeling that his sister's brother was not quite right in the head. The boxing arena manager hurried over, looking grim. He had forgotten to pay his respects to Lord Guan tonight. No wonder the luck was bad. Nothing was going smoothly. He had just faced a setback with Maria, who refused to sign a long-term contract. Even offering a high price wouldn't work. She was as stubborn as a mule. Now, with Maria unresolved, another troublemaker appeared, wanting to take 12 million from him. Darn it! After managing the boxing arena for so many years, he had never suffered such a huge loss. Who was the audacious fool daring to cause trouble on his turf? They must be tired of living. Your employee says there's no money at the counter. You're the boss. What do you say? Shen Xiao coldly questioned, not pausing as he ripped off another corner of the table, making it symmetrical. The manager's face turned even uglier, his cheeks twitching with anger. After decades in the business, this was the first time he encountered such a bold person. It was also the first time he saw someone with such a strong grip, bending the table as if it were dough. If that grip were to crush his head, he feared he wouldn't survive. Why were all the tough ones here tonight? What bad luck. 12 million is not a small amount. There's not that much at the counter right now. How about this? I'll give you 3 million now and pay the remaining 9 million later as a debt I owe you. What do you think? The manager spoke sweetly, even having his subordinate bring out 3 million in cash, neatly arranged on the table. Tang Chongfeng was dizzy seeing so much cash. It was the first time in his life he had seen this much. Are you trying to default? Shen Xiao didn't even look at the cash on the table. He reached into his pocket, making it seem like he was pulling out a handkerchief, which the manager thought too. But when he saw what Shen Xiao pulled out, his face went pale and his legs trembled like noodles. If he survived this, he would pay his respects to Lord Guan and never slack off again, praying sincerely every day. Shen Xiao held a gun and, without any visible movement, pressed it against the manager's temple, just like Tang Nian had threatened him before. The manager blinked. At this life-and-death moment, he felt a strange familiarity, even thinking that Maria and this cold-faced handsome guy seemed like a perfect match. Even the way he pulled out the gun was eerily similar. It was hard to believe they hadn't shared a bed. "Hey, handsome, are you married yet?" the manager asked casually, appearing calm, though his legs were shaking like a sieve. The pale-faced employee beside him silently gave a thumbs up to his boss, realizing why he could only be a worker. He lacked the courage. "Do you have the 12 million now?" Shen Xiao pressed the gun forward and pulled the trigger, the sound of the empty chamber making the manager feel an eerie sense of familiarity. Surviving this ordeal, he just wanted to curse. "I have it. I just remembered I can gather it." The manager signaled to his subordinate, who quickly went to fetch the money. The 12 million in cash piled up like a mountain, stuffed into a large bag. Shen Xiao tied the bag, casually slung it over his shoulder, and put away the gun. "Thank you." Shen Xiao politely expressed his gratitude and kindly added, "I have a wife." After saying that, he carried the bag with one hand and pulled the dazed Tang Chongfeng with the other, striding away. "Boss, should we take care of them?" A subordinate volunteered, as they had done plenty of black-on-black dealings before.
Wait.
The manager's expression turned serious. He had almost agreed, but then he spotted a familiar face, Maria, who had threatened him, walking alongside the man with the gun. They clearly had a close relationship. Darn it, it was a couple. No wonder he had fallen into such a big trap. Forget them. The manager decisively changed his mind. Both of them were skilled fighters, armed and ruthless. If this couple got angry, they might sneak into his home at night, and his entire family wouldn't survive. Losing 12 million was nothing. Better to lose money than face disaster. Once outside the boxing arena, the neon lights lit up, the shop signs flickering. Pedestrians hurried by, and the dim, flickering lights, along with the tired, rushing people and the flowing cars, created a magical, bustling world. The evening breeze brushed against everyone's faces. Tang Chongfeng shook himself awake, excitedly looking at his sister, stuttering, "Sister, who won in the fight between you and brother-in-law?" Tang Nian had waited a long time for this question and couldn't help but twitch her mouth. Her brother was truly foolish, no doubt about it. "Nian is amazing," Shen Xiao replied. He would never dare to hit Nian. Tang Chongfeng believed him, letting out a howl as he lunged at Tang Nian. "Sister, dear sister, will you teach me martial arts? I want to learn your aerial kick. If I master that, I can sweep through Hong Kong." With his handsome looks and good skills, he might even become a martial arts superstar like Bruce Lee. First, stand in a horse stance for 2 hours every day. Let's see how it goes after a month. Tang Nian, annoyed by his noise, missed Emil and Paua at that moment. With them around, the three fools wouldn't bother her. "I will definitely stick to it," Tang Chongfeng vowed, promising to persevere no matter how hard it was. "What about your friends?" Tang Nian asked. "Hua went to the hospital with me."
Tang Chan Fen Ziplit.
After Wei got hurt, the boxing arena sent someone to take him to the hospital. The boy who came with him was Hua, a friend of Wei's. He stayed behind with his sister because he was worried. "Are they all friends from your band?" Tang Nian asked. Yes. Wei is the guitarist, Hua is the bassist, Jian is the keyboardist and the lead singer, and we have a drummer named Liang. Tang Chongfeng's eyes lit up as he spoke about the band. A taxi pulled up, and Tang Nian waved it down, casually asking, "What's the name of your band?" "Starshine, as bright as the stars." "I came up with that name," Tang Chongfeng said proudly, a big smile on his face. As Shen Xiao opened the car door, Tang Nian was about to get in when she paused, hearing her silly brother mention the band name. Is it really the Xingsan band? Okay, she needs to take back her judgment about her brother being foolish. Although he is a bit silly, he does have some talent. She remembers that the Xingsan band was very popular in the 1980s and produced many well-known songs. However, they almost disbanded early on due to incidents involving the members. The early guitarist died in an accident when the band was still unknown. A couple of years later, the lead singer got involved in a drug scandal. The band members believed he was innocent, but the public did not, and criticism poured in. On top of that, the lead singer faced family troubles, and under the double blow, he chose to commit suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning. At that time, the band had already gained fame, and the lead singer had a bright future, but his life ended in his prime. Tang Nianyan's expression turned cold. Although the Zhou family and Lu Jinglan were already dead, she still wanted to dig up their ashes and throw them into a stinky ditch to vent her anger. Tang Chongfeng shrank his neck, unsure why his little sister suddenly looked unhappy. After driving for a while, Tang Nianyan suddenly told the driver to stop and said to Tang Chongfeng seriously, "Get out and find your own way home." She needed to train her silly brother's mental resilience. In the entertainment industry, he would face many challenges, and he couldn't just give up at the first setback. So, from now on, she had to create storms for him to help him adapt in advance.
Why?
Tang Chongfeng looked confused. There was enough space in the car, so why did he have to get out? Get out, hand over your money. Whether you walk, need money, or have to sell yourself, figure out how to get home. Tang Nianyan searched Tang Chongfeng's pockets for money and ruthlessly kicked him out of the car, closing the door on her bewildered brother. "When you get home, I'll teach you how to stand firm." Tang Chongfeng's eyes lit up, and he perked up. It was just walking home. He could definitely do it. Tang Nianyan had the taxi driver stop ahead. She and Shen Xiao got out without letting Tang Chongfeng see them, found a hidden spot, and stored the money away. After walking for about 10 minutes, Tang Chongfeng couldn't take it anymore. July in Hong Kong was hot and humid, and his sweat clung to him uncomfortably. He wanted water. A bottle of cold water would be great. He instinctively reached for his pockets but found them empty, remembering that his sister had taken all his money. He couldn't even buy a drink. Tang Chongfeng couldn't help but smile bitterly. It was the first time in his life he felt this miserable. He gritted his teeth, thinking about learning powerful skills which motivated him to keep going, but his throat felt like it was on fire. In less than half an hour, the handsome young man had turned into a sweaty, disheveled mess. Tang Nianyan shook her head. No wonder Tang Chongfeng would commit suicide in his past life. His pampered personality couldn't handle any setbacks. In his past life, Tang Jianshu also faced pressure from the Zhou family and nearly went bankrupt, yet he persevered and eventually became wealthy. Whether a boy or a girl, they needed to face some hardships from a young age. Otherwise, they wouldn't withstand any storms. Tang Nianyan bought 2 bottles of cold soda, one for her and one for Shen Xiao, and leisurely stood in the shade, enjoying Tang Chongfeng's struggles in the crowd. Such a fool. Tang Nianyan shook her head. Her brother was not only foolish, but also lacked any experience of living at the bottom. As a band lead singer, he could easily find a place to perform and earn money for a taxi fare. A small, thin figure caught her attention. It looked familiar. It was a young girl who approached Tang Chongfeng and greeted him. Tang Nianyan recognized her as Deng Molly, who seemed to be doing well. She stayed hidden, wanting to see Deng Molly's intentions. Deng Molly chatted with Tang Chongfeng for a bit, then pulled out some money to give to him. Thanks to Tang Nianyan, her 1,000 had multiplied 6 times, earning her a good sum. Since the Deng family lived halfway up the mountain, she didn't want to take a taxi back and decided to walk, only to run into Tang Chongfeng. She had seen him at the boxing ring with Shen Xiao, and they seemed close. "Tang Nianyan is my benefactor. Take this money for a taxi." Deng Molly thought Tang Chongfeng didn't have money for a taxi and wanted to help him. "You know my sister? I can't take this money. My sister told me to find my own way home. If I take your money, she'll be angry." Tang Chongfeng refused the money, wiped his sweat, and continued walking. Deng Molly found it strange and asked about the situation. She couldn't help but envy Tang Chongfeng. Even though he was the older brother, he had such a powerful sister to guide him. How fortunate. The two walked side by side and came across a street corner where a homeless singer was playing guitar and singing, with a bowl in front of him containing some cash and coins. A crowd had gathered to listen. Tang Chongfeng listened and hummed along, completely immersed in the music, even more so than the singer. Deng Molly's eyes sparkled as she got an idea. After the song ended, she ran over to the homeless singer and spoke to him. The singer nodded happily and waved for Tang Chongfeng to come up and perform. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up," Deng Molly urged, and a dazed Tang Chongfeng walked over, took the guitar, and faced the audience. He suddenly became clear-headed. Wherever the audience was, that was his stage, and he had to deliver a perfect performance. The somewhat disheveled Tang Chongfeng transformed, radiating confidence. He tuned a few notes, smiled at the audience, and began to sing. His voice was unique, like rich red wine. While it might not stand out alone, when combined with other sounds, it was clear that Tang Chongfeng's voice was the most pleasant, a so-called vocal rogue. It wasn't about singing skills or techniques, it was all about tone, which made him unbeatable. The crowd grew larger, and nearby people were drawn in, swaying to the rhythm. After finishing a song, everyone cheered and clapped, throwing money into the bowl and shouting, "One more." Tang Chongfeng looked at the homeless singer for approval, and the singer smiled and nodded, signaling him to continue. He sang 3 more songs, and the bowl was filled with money. The audience was still eager for more, but Tang Chongfeng's throat felt like it was on fire, so he declined to sing again. Deng Molly chatted with the homeless singer for a few minutes and split the money in the bowl, which amounted to over $60. "I want water." Tang Chongfeng's eyes lit up at the sight of the money. This was hard-earned cash. Deng Molly generously bought 2 bottles of cold water, one for each of them. Tang Chongfeng gulped down half a bottle in one go, instantly feeling revitalized. "Total is $63. We spent 1 on water, leaving 62. I'll handle the evening's business negotiations and take a 20% commission, which is $12.40, rounded to 13. Deng Molly calculated quickly, her mouth moving rapidly, making Tang Chongfeng's head spin. He impatiently said, "Just give me the taxi fare. The rest is yours." He had a monthly allowance of $1,000 and didn't care about this small amount. Brothers should be clear about money. What belongs to you is yours. Deng Molly seriously counted out 49 pieces and handed them to Tang Chongfeng, then kept her 13 pieces, feeling very happy. Today was a great day for making money. Tang Chongfeng called for a taxi, and one came over. He opened the door and signaled for Deng Molly to get in first. "I'm not getting in. Taxis are too expensive. You go by yourself." Deng Molly shook her head vigorously. A taxi ride costs $20 or $30, enough for her and her brother to live on for several days. 2 people share the same fare as one. "I'll pay, you don't have to." Tang Chongfeng was speechless. He had never met someone so stingy, especially someone wearing branded clothes. He didn't know that Deng Molly's clothes were hand-me-downs from other girls in the Deng family, and she hadn't spent a penny. "Then I'll get in." Deng Molly immediately hopped in the taxi. "If it's free, why not?" Tang Nian came out from a corner, smiling. If her silly brother had even half of Deng Molly's courage and smarts, he would surely succeed in the entertainment industry. She thought about how the film industry in Hong Kong was mostly controlled by gangs. Deng Chongguang had shares in a film company, and she wondered if Deng Molly could manage the Deng family this time. If it were like her past life, her silly brother getting close to Deng Molly would help him in the entertainment world. The taxi stopped at the Tang family home, as Deng Molly insisted. The Deng family was only a 10-minute walk away, and she didn't want to spend the remaining fare. Tang Chongfeng offered to pay, but Deng Molly refused. "It's not far to walk. Goodbye." Deng Molly waved her hand, but after taking a few steps, she noticed Tang Chongfeng following her. His reason was, "If my friends find out I let a girl walk alone at night, they'll definitely scold me. If you really meet a bad person, you might not be as tough as me."
Deng Molly yoket.
After her mother passed away, she and her brother had faced many bad people, all of whom she had driven away. It wasn't that she was particularly strong, she just wasn't afraid of dying. Anyone can brag. "I might not be as tough as my sister, but you look like a breeze could knock you down. How tough can you be?" Tang Chongfeng didn't believe it at all. Deng Molly smiled and didn't argue. Mu Shulian heard from a servant that Tang Chongfeng had gotten out of the car at their door with a pretty girl, and she felt both happy and worried. She was glad her second son was growing up and dating, but worried if the girl was suitable. A few minutes later, Tang Chongfeng returned home, and Tang Nian and Xin Xiao were also back. Chongfeng, did you bring a pretty girl home tonight? Why didn't you invite her in? Mu Xiulian asked casually. It was just on the way. She's from the Deng family, super stingy. She wouldn't even spend a few dollars on a taxi and preferred to walk. I was worried about her walking alone at night, so I took her home. Mom, don't start being suspicious again. Tang Chongfeng knew what his mom was thinking and quickly explained. Mu Xiulian felt a bit disappointed, but was also curious about Deng Molly. Is she the new granddaughter of the Deng family? Surely, a Deng girl can afford a few dollars for a taxi? The Deng family treats their newly recognized girls poorly. Their clothes are all hand-me-downs, and the new young master only wants expensive supplements. But the Deng family won't spend money on that, just regular tonics. The servant, Asian, was well informed about the gossip in wealthy families. Mu Xiulian frowned and said sympathetically, "These siblings are unfortunate, stuck with an unreliable father. If only Deng Chongguang would take notice of them, their lives could be better." But Deng Chongguang had many grandchildren, all raised close to him. Deng Molly and her brother had not lived with the Deng family, so their emotional bond was weak. Gaining Deng Chongguang's favor would be difficult. I hope they can find a reliable husband for this girl in the future. Mu Xiulian sighed and didn't mention the Deng family again. Tang Nian smirked slightly. The girls from the Deng family were mostly used for marriage alliances, and Deng Molly was no exception. However, the husband Deng Chongguang chose for her was abusive, and Deng Molly suffered a miscarriage, leaving her unable to have children. Deng Chongguang didn't help her, saying that the daughters of the Deng family could only be widows and could never divorce. Later, Deng Molly's abusive husband died in a drunk driving accident, making her a widow. However, she couldn't claim his vast fortune, as his family had power too, and they fought for 2 years in court without anyone benefiting. In the end, Deng Molly married a gang leader, successfully reclaiming her deceased husband's inheritance. With money and gang power, Deng Molly could almost walk freely in Hong Kong, even making Deng Chongguang wary of her. However, her glory and legend came at the cost of many scars. Deng Molly wrote in her autobiography, "Whenever I found myself in a deep abyss, I always prayed for a hand to pull me out, but it never happened. Each time, I climbed out of the abyss myself, surviving against all odds, battered and bruised, but I am still alive and still fighting. As long as I am alive, they will die." Tang Nian greatly admired Deng Molly's fierce spirit, which is why she decided to help. Tang Chongfeng fell silent. He hadn't realized how tough Deng Molly's life had been. No wonder she was so careful about a few dollars. He had been too self-righteous. "Mom, let's cancel my brother's allowance from now on." After Tang Chongfeng went to take a shower, Tang Nian suggested a bad idea to Mu Xiulian. Mu Xiulian hesitated. "Your brother is a big boy. He'll lose face if he has no money to socialize. Let him earn it himself. Don't you think he's like a flower in a greenhouse? He can't handle any setbacks. You can't protect him forever. He needs to face the harsh realities of life." Tang Nian had solid reasoning. Tang Chongfeng could earn money, so he wouldn't starve. Mu Xiulian's expression softened. Nian was right. The second son was indeed too naive. The eldest had lived in Shanghai before he was 5 and had faced the harshness of life. When they first arrived in Hong Kong, life wasn't easy, and the eldest had experienced that. Later, when he went abroad to study, he even washed dishes in restaurants to earn his living, showing he was very responsible from a young age. "All right, no allowance for your brother." Mu Xiulian agreed to try it for a while. That night, Tang Chongfeng slept deeply and had a pleasant dream. The next day, he woke up feeling refreshed, only to hear some bad news.
"Mom, why?
Is our family going bankrupt?"
Tang Chan Fen why let?
How could he live without an allowance? He received a slap from Tang Chongchuan on the head. "You're the one losing money. Our family business is thriving. Then why stop my allowance?" Tang Chongfeng couldn't understand. Tang Jinglin and Tang Chongchuan shrugged. indicating they didn't know. They only handled the company's affairs. Mu Xiulian managed the household. You've been forming a band for 2 years now and invested so much. It's time to make money. Mu Xiulian turned her head away, not daring to look into her youngest son's clear, innocent eyes, fearing she would soften. No matter how much Tang Chongfeng cried out, Mu Xiulian was determined not to back down. He had no choice but to accept it, reluctantly finishing his breakfast to avoid being hungry later, as he had no money to buy food. Tang Chongfeng squeezed the few bills left in his pocket from last night's taxi fare and felt a bit relieved to still have some money. Tang Nianyan planned to rent a warehouse today to take out the machine tools. That part was easy, but the real challenge was how to transport them back. The shipping on this side of Hong Kong was controlled by the Bao family, so she intended to negotiate with them. However, there was no rush. They had 2 months from above, which was plenty of time. Tang Nianyan learned that the head of the Bao family was Bao Xingxing, a strict and stingy man. Although he was wealthy, he was very frugal and harsh with those around him, making him quite unpopular. But Bao Xingxing was a devoted son. He was stingy with himself and his wife and children, but he was very filial to his elderly mother, even spending a fortune to build a Buddhist hall for her and inviting monks to come home to teach her. Tang Nianyan found out that the old lady of the Bao family rarely went out and hadn't shown her face in years. Bao Xingxing lived almost like a recluse, seldom appearing in public since he was kidnapped 10 years ago and nearly killed. It was only because Bao's wife paid a ransom of 100 million that Bao Xingxing was saved. However, he was heartbroken and scolded his wife for being foolish to pay so quickly, thinking it would make the kidnappers believe the Bao family's money was easy to get. Since the kidnapping, Bao Xingxing had rarely been seen, always accompanied by bodyguards, and even the best paparazzi in Hong Kong couldn't find him. I need to find a way to meet Bao Xingxing, Tang Nianyan muttered to herself. Only if Bao Xingxing agreed could he send her a ship. Currently, Hong Kong was still under British jurisdiction, and shipping to the mainland was strictly controlled, so it could only be done secretly. The Bao family's fleet was large enough to transport the machine tools safely to Huqing. She could also put the machine tools in her space and take them out in Huqing, but that would expose her secret, and Tang Nianyan didn't dare underestimate the country. Before she could meet Bao Xingxing, Deng Moli sought her out. "Sister Tang, I have a business opportunity for you. Are you interested?" Deng Moli got straight to the point. "What kind of business?" Tang Nianyan asked, intrigued. "Betting on horses. I know the inside scoop. Horse number 3 is the designated champion, but horse number 5 and horse number 2 are the hot favorites. Many people are betting on these two. If you bet on horse number 3, you'll definitely make a lot of money. The odds are 7 to 1. Deng Moli explained confidently. Tang Nianyan became even more interested and asked, "How do you know horse number 3 is the designated champion?" "I remember it was the least favored horse, right?" She picked up a newspaper from the table, which had an introduction to the upcoming horse race. Horse number 3 looked ordinary, even a bit weak, and couldn't compare to the shiny, strong horse number 5 and horse number 2. "My grandfather is one of the bookmakers, and I overheard him talking on the phone," Deng Moli said without any hesitation. Deng Chongguang had many shady businesses, including a stake in an underground boxing ring, nightclubs, and casinos. "Aren't you afraid your grandfather will blame you if this gets out? He'll just dislike me even more." "A few lice don't itch." Deng Moli scoffed, not caring for her family's cheap love. She preferred to make money. Once she had enough money for her brother's medical treatment and to support them for 3 years, she would leave the Deng family. She was capable and smart enough to thrive anywhere, without having to endure the cold stares of her family. "What do you want in return?" Tang Nianyan smiled, increasingly fond of Deng Moli's stubbornness. "No matter how much you earn, I want 10%. Deng Moli said, holding up one finger with a slight smile.
"Deal."
Tang Nianyan agreed readily. Free money was too good to pass up. Deng Moli smiled brightly, knowing she would make a good profit. The next day, Tang Nianyan and Shen Xiao went to the racetrack, but she didn't rush to place a bet. In the VIP section, Many wealthy people and socialites were present, some even bringing their pet cats and dogs. She had an idea and let Fu Bao and Bai Sui go to gather information. Fu Bao and Bai Sui went unnoticed among the other pets, darting around the audience before finally stopping near a group of well-dressed men. One of those men was Deng Chongguang. They were all the hosts of this horse race. This time, we can at least make 3. Deng Chongguang held up 3 fingers, having calculated that with a starting point of 300 million, he could pocket at least 50 million. It was almost a no-risk business, and the money was easy to come by. One man said proudly, "This is better than the lottery." The others laughed with satisfaction. In this game, they were the kings deciding life and death, while everyone else was there to serve them. It was thrilling to have a whole field of sheep willingly offering themselves for slaughter. After hearing the news, Fu Bao and Bai Sui returned to report.
Woof.
Horse number 3 is the champion. Good, take Fu Bao to play. Tang Nianyan gently patted their heads and took Xin Xiao to place a bet. Horse number 3 was currently at 8-1, and almost no one was betting on it. It was the least favored horse. Tang Nianyan and Xin Xiao split up, one placing bets while the other distracted the informants. 2 minutes before betting closed, Tang Nianyan pulled out 5 million and bet it all on horse number 3. Just after she placed her bet, the race began. Deng Chongguang and the others had already entered the VIP section, unaware that someone had placed a 5 million bet on horse number 3, happily watching the race. Xin Xiao intercepted the informant and knocked him out. So, until the race ended, Deng Chongguang and the others remained oblivious. Horse number 3 indeed pulled off an upset and became the champion, while the audience booed, shouting about foul play. Soon, security arrived to maintain order, and these guards looked tough and not to be messed with. Even though the audience was unhappy, they dared not cause a scene and left quietly. Deng Chongguang and his companions laughed with pride, but soon their smiles faded when they were informed that someone had bet 5 million on horse number 3, meaning they had to pay out 40 million according to the odds. "Why didn't you notify me sooner?" Deng Chongguang asked angrily. "The bet was placed 2 minutes before the end, and the person you sent to inform you was knocked out." They came prepared. Deng Chongguang and the others' expressions turned serious, and they looked at each other suspiciously. Only they knew that horse number 3 was the champion. How did someone else find out? I didn't even tell my wife. I never mentioned it in my dreams. I certainly wouldn't. I've been alone these days. How could something we only discussed among ourselves leak out? There must be a traitor among us. They all started to shift blame and suspect each other, but with no evidence, they could only grit their teeth and accept it, deciding to find out who was behind it. However, when they saw Tang Nianyan, they racked their brains but couldn't figure out who this beautiful girl was. Tang Nianyan received 40 million in cash, packed it into 4 bags, and she and Xin Xiao each carried one while waving goodbye to Deng Chongguang and his group as they walked away confidently. Darn it, who is that girl? Find out who she is. They were furious, cursing in their hometown dialect. After years of dominance in Hong Kong, this was the first time someone had taken such a big chunk from them, and it hurt. Tang Nianyan and Xin Xiao left the racetrack with the 4 bags of money and headed to the place they had agreed upon with Deng Moli, a British bank. "Here, your 4 million. Tang Nianyan kept her promise and handed her 4 million. "Thank you, Sister Tang." Deng Moli's eyes sparkled brighter than diamonds. She didn't expect Tang Nianyan to place such a big bet. With this money, she could take her brother abroad for treatment and wouldn't have to worry about the Deng family anymore. "No need to thank me. It's what you deserve. What are your plans for the future?" Tang Nianyan asked. Deng Chongguang would eventually find out about Deng Moli. At 17, she was of marrying age, and staying with the Deng family would only lead to her being used for a marriage alliance. Tang Nianyan didn't want to see Deng Moli marry that scumbag again. "I want to take my brother abroad for treatment. I've also contacted a school. This money is enough for us to live well," Deng Moli replied with a smile, being honest. "Better hurry. Your grandfather isn't foolish and will find out about you soon," Tang Nianyan warned. Deng Moli nodded, looking a bit proud. She held up 3 fingers and happily said, "In 3 days, my brother and I can leave here. Sister Tang, I hope we can meet again in the future.
We will.
If you need help abroad, you can contact her." Tang Nian wrote down her grandmother Zhao Fenghua's phone number and gave it to Deng Moli. "Just mention my name and she will help you." "Thank you. I hope I can repay your kindness in the future." Deng Moli carefully kept the note, feeling reassured that she and her brother would be fine even abroad. "Don't worry, you will."
Tang Nian Samai.
She had invested so much. How could she not expect a return? They would recover it together later. Deng Moli deposited the 4 million in the bank and said goodbye to Tang Nian. As she left, she walked lightly, even bouncing a bit. For the first time, her youthful energy shone through. She had always been too mature before. When the red light turned on, Deng Moli stood by the roadside, turned around, and waved to Tang Nian. The sunlight illuminated her small face, making her look bright and beautiful. Tang Nian smiled and walked in another direction. She put the remaining 30 million into her space and turned back to ask Mu Xilian to introduce her to a top-notch agent for buying office buildings and shops. She thought this would be a long goodbye with Deng Moli, and they wouldn't meet for a while, but she underestimated Deng Chongguang's ability. A person who could stand strong in Hong Kong and operate in both the legal and illegal realms was certainly not simple. Just a day later, Deng Chongguang's people came knocking. At that moment, Tang Nian was looking at properties with Mu Xilian. The agent was an old friend of Mu Xilian, and the listings were good.